Hi, I would like to begin this episode by thanking Ewan Roberts, Nick Kierl, Graham, Chris Lees, and A. Zook. All of these people, all 5 of them, have gone to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv and supported this network, this show, and us. You can be like them by going to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv and not just supporting us, but getting some cool stuff and extra content in return. That's all. Listen to this episode. Thank you.
My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross.
And you're listening to Watch Out for Fireballs. It is a Games Club podcast.
And this week we're talking about Axiom Verge, which is a Metroidvania game developed and published by Thomas Happ for the PC and consoles in 2015.
Yep. And next week we'll be doing Manuel Verge. And then finally we'll be doing Decker Verge at the end of the month as the premium episode.
Yeah. And then the super premium one's going to be the QAnon remix.
Yeah. So this is an executive produced episode. This one produced by Nicholas Wilde. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. And we're gonna get into it. This is we have our interesting month here where to me, it is the flawed but ambitious indie Metroidvania month, where the first one I liked a little bit more than Cole, and this one Cole likes a little bit more than me. And it's a classic Brave Fencer Musashi showdown.
By which you mean it's like you're 60-40 on one and I'm 60-40 on one?
Exactly. Well, I think Brave Fencer Musashi is probably like 20-80.
Yeah.
But a little closer to that.
Yeah.
But this was something, too, that I was looking at it and rewatching the boss fights to remind myself of. And I know that Nicholas, who produced the thing, is a really big fan. I just want to throw in my blanket caveat that the fact that this left me pretty cool is not talking shit about anyone's taste or anything. This is a widely acclaimed game.
Yeah. And
people love this thing.
The things that you love about it, we probably also love.
Yeah. There are undeniably cool things about this.
Yeah.
I think that the combat's not good. And I think that I got annoyed at the story, and there's just a couple of things I got annoyed about. Yeah. That ended up just having a pretty big impact. While not sinking it. I had fun with this. Yeah. Very similar to Valda's story. I had fun, but lots of problems and very different problems, which was a really interesting. Putting these together, initially seemed like a mistake, but I actually think it's kind of a good move because they act in contrast to each other.
Yes.
This is not messy. Valda's story feels unfinished and amateurish and stuff, and this is a weird triumph of production that still again manages to leave me pretty I think it's pretty hard, soulless. Or lacks heart, or something. There is a feeling of this is crafted very well, but I don't know what it's about. Yeah. So you play as a real fucking weirdo, just a real choice. You play as a choice named Trace.
Hi, I'm a choice named Trace.
Yeah, the choice named Trace, deciding to make somebody look like a dad on the Wild Thornberries or something. What does he look like? How would you describe Chase? Who's Chase?
Trace?
Trace.
I know a couple of Chases. Yeah.
No. Trace.
Yeah. Trace, he's a shaggy-haired pencil neck is what he is.
Yeah. With big misguided sideburns.
Yes, very. But it's it's part of the mutation. No, it's not.
Oh yeah, that's not. It's part of the time loop. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
There's no time loop. It's a dream thing, but it kind of seems like one blah blah loop.
Yeah. But yeah, you play as this shaggy-haired pencil neck. He's a scientist working at a lab in New Mexico. Explodes, and he wakes up basically on a Metroid planet named Sudra, and has no idea really what's going on or how he got there.
It's also the name of a vegan Indian restaurant near my house, which kept throwing me every time I read it. Like going to Sudra.
Is it at least a good? Is it a good restaurant?
It is pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, like I'm not a vegan, but they I like vegetables. Yeah. So it's an Indian food is a pretty safe bet for that. So
yeah, that's the thing about vegan food. Everybody can eat it.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So this is almost an actionable throwback to NES Metroid.
Yeah,
there are a couple other bits of influence, like Super Metroid. There's a little Blaster Master in there, but this is so directly a Metroid-like as to be. It like almost bypasses homage to me.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that it specifically has to do with the look more than anything. Specifically because this is a very dark game. There's, you are dealing with a lot of, black backgrounds and things like that. And also like the art style is really weird. I love the art style quite a bit, but I think that like there's this interesting tension between the NES style graphics. Obviously I don't think they're working within like sprite color limitations or anything like that.
No.
But like with those limitations and then kind of the massive detail and atmosphere that they managed to pull off with it. Yeah, but the atmosphere is very reminiscent of the original Metroid.
Yeah, I think that is very clearly an intent to it. Something about this, in terms of atmosphere, made this feel very Teflon-y to me. Like, and I think part of it was the emphasis on combat, and the attention that combat required.
Okay.
Which we'll talk about, but something kind of held me at arm's length with atmosphere. Like I would feel the atmosphere during a couple big set piece things where they would really like pull back and there'd be a sense of scale and you'd see some, reclining colossus or something like that, or a big pile of corpses or something. And that was very cool. The hallways ended up feeling weirdly anonymous to me in a way that Metroid didn't, kind of did rather, but Super Metroid never did.
Yeah.
To me. Like, I think that something about the map design of this and the size of it, like, ends up missing that balance.
Yeah.
Where, like, every Metroid area has a very distinct feel to me, and every area of this does not have a distinct feel. And partly it's because there's not really different geography to it. Like, it's always going to be the same wireframe wise, like, other than maybe the outdoor area. The outdoor snowy area feels different.
Yeah.
And the other thing being that it just ends up feeling kind of like, I don't know, like less naturalistic to me. Like I didn't get a strong sense of place to it.
Yeah, less naturalistic, I think is I think that is an apt way to describe it. I didn't have that same experience. I felt that each of the areas was differentiated enough by color and by sound, and even by layout, specifically with like the different hazards and things like that. It never rises to the heights of a Super Metroid, but I was really here for the stuff that this did atmosphere wise, kind of both big and small.
It might be a thing where, and I don't try not to lean on this all the time, but colorblind mode, Gary, had some other problems with this that were more practical.
Yeah.
And the fact that some of these differentiations in color were probably lost on my eyes.
That's possible. Yeah.
At its worst, it meant not seeing that a platform that was key to beating a boss was there, like not knowing the background from the foreground, which was a pretty persistent problem in this game for me. But it could also lend itself to, unless it was like a very high contrast, like again, like the snowy area that's outside.
Yeah.
Not being able to see the contrast between these colors.
Yeah.
And then part of it was also just backtracking a lot. Like there's a weird little bit of this as the map expanded, where I would get lost. Like there's kind of like two different kinds of lost in a Metroidvania. To me, like there's like good lost and bad lost, and good lost is I have multiple different ideas on where to go, and I'm going to go like check them out. And then Bad Lost is I'm going to run the perimeter of the map, rubbing my new tools against every bit of the perimeter.
Yeah.
And I ended up in Bad Lost a lot because I didn't, early on I could make mental notes like, oh, I need something here.
Mm-hmm.
But then the map eventually just kind of grew in scale to where like I no longer really had an idea where to come back and use my new kind of erasing glitch wall ability.
Yeah. The size of this world, I do think it is too big for your specific kind of like moveset. I think the moveset is a joy in this actually, but specifically for like the lack of, a real fast travel option. Like there's a little bug superhighway you can take once you
that fast travel sucks.
Yeah, it's not good.
They should have just done bonfire warping in this.
Yeah, that would have been preferable to me. But I can see how that would be a problem. I think that the actual like bigness of the world kind of goes from being a strength because hey, there's more of this for me to look around in, and does roll over into being a bit of a hindrance because if there's one thing that a Metroidvania game ought to do is it needs to get you excited to move from one point of the map to the other.
Well, so there's that, like, which I think I agree with you. Like, I think it's something that starts as a strength thing, it becomes a weakness. I think there's that. And then also I should master a space. I should feel a mental map of the game world. Yeah. In a Metroidvania or a Dark Souls or a Kingsfield sense. Mm-hmm. And I had that for a time and then lost it in this. Yeah. Like that bigness and kind of like even just the granularity of what they're asking you to remember. Mm-hmm. So like, it's not enough to remember where there is a barrier. I need to remember where there are one tile barriers and when there are two tile barriers. Yeah. It's not enough to remember a glitch wall. It's enough to remember, is it a glitch wall or like a really glitchy wall? Mm-hmm. And those similarities were kind of devastating to that sense of remembering where to go back to. Yeah. So that kind of like adventure game-esque, just rubbing myself on the perimeters of the map as I went through ended up becoming like a real hindrance and annoyance near the end. Starting off as not that big a deal, but eventually became a big source of resentment for me in this. Yeah.
And it didn't for me, but I can see where it could for you or where it could for somebody else, not for you specifically.
It probably ties also into me not liking the combat very much. Yeah. So like you end up having to do that a lot when you're moving through. And like, if I like the combat more, I would like it. Like the big unqualified wins for me, like, which we'll get to, are the soundtrack and the like weapon and tool set, I think are really interesting and cool. Yes. I think those are basically unqualified wins. Everything else for me has an asterisk next to it. No. But those are varying sizes of asterisk, like 4-point font and 72-point font. It takes all points in between. Just the gigantic Kurvanagin asshole in the middle of the Word document. So,
yeah. Let's get into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So like we said, this is more of an NES style Metroidvania throwback than, other ones, like which end up usually being Symphony of the Night, actually, is usually what people throw back to, which is unique and rare. You don't see that an awful lot for as much as like Metroidvania is the expressed mode for a large number of indie games, right? This is this is a rare catch in that regard.
There's no Vania.
Right.
it's just a Metroid.
Yeah.
It's there's no RPG elements really. There are heart container style upgrades. But it does not have that any of that Symphony DNA. Yeah. Really. So you end up getting items that make you feel kind of more powerful or more mobile or allow you to bypass key locks. But they tend to be twists on Metroid things.
And this always delighted me. The fact that
it's pretty clever.
It would solve the same problems, but in a very, very different way.
Yes. Yeah. This is pretty clever. Like the way that these power-ups work, I think is neat. Sometimes in my hands, I would not like it as much. Like I found myself wanting a double jump instead of a drone launch teleport.
Yeah.
Just because I would be easier. Like I'd be able to control it better. It's more direct.
Yeah.
But them saying like, hey, we're not going to give you a morph ball, we're going to give you a drone, like is a really cool conceit. I like that quite a bit.
And I had no idea how much the capabilities of the drones would expand.
Yeah, it's a neat idea. Yeah. It's also a baby and it needs to be protected at all costs.
Oh yeah, no, it is too delicate for this world is the thing.
Yeah. I need it to. I'm glad that it respawns. Like, what if it just died? You know,
what if you had to go catch a new one?
It just cut to funeral. I can imagine them because there's that one little like spout that's just constantly making baby.
Yeah.
I was thinking like if you had to go catch a new one and they made you go back there when your drone died, it would be one of those. It's like how fall damage would ruin Portal.
Yeah.
It would be like one choice that would make the game unplayable.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Because those combat gauntlets with drone never cease to frustrate me.
Yeah.
I do not like fighting with the drone.
Yeah, it's not great.
No.
Yeah. So we mentioned the drone, and we'll talk about it, kind of more when we get to there, but that is kind of the way that Axiom Verge gets you through tight areas. So instead of turning into a morph ball and, bouncing around through those, 1 block high areas yourself, you send this drone out and it can pick up items and things like that and eventually get the capability to teleport to it, which is really cool.
Yeah.
The other big one is the ability to glitch through walls by doing like a double tap against a 1 pixel or later, not 1 pixel, a 1 block or later 2 block wide barrier. And you just you start flickering and then boom, you get through.
Yeah. And it's the way this kind of plays off. So like this is, I wish I could have remapped this because eventually you have to start doing it while you're jumping.
Yeah. And the double tap while you're jumping is not great.
Really awkward.
Yeah.
And it ends up kind of ruining its efficacy as kind of a dodge roll.
Yeah.
Like, which it could act as. Like I have a tight, quite a bit on the combat of this. I want to talk about how that articulates later.
Yeah.
But making that easier, if this was a dodge roll, like map this to a button, I think that would have done a lot to improve the combat and the freedom and feeling of movement.
Agreed.
With this. And I just, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand why double tapping and holding the second tap up against the wall was the solution for this. Like, it feels very undeniably awkward to me.
Mm-hmm. And I never found a controller that made it easy. So I played this with an Xbox One controller on the PC, and like the analog stick was just a little bit too loose and sloppy to get it to register a double tap as being a double tap in the same direction. And even the D-pad on the Xbox One controller, which is actually really, really good, nice and clicky and satisfying. It didn't actually it still felt unreliable.
It's a little imprecise in general. Like I did this on the Switch with the good Hori D-pad.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of not a very reliable move. So this is all well and good. Those are interesting things. The other kind of big thing is a drill.
Yeah.
Which is more of an issue in the early game than the late game. One thing I want to mention, I'm sure you have a note for this specifically. The sound design in this game is ridiculously on point.
Oh, yeah.
The way that the drill and the glitch beam and the teleport and all those things sound and feel is like triumph.
Yeah.
Triumph class.
A great amount of thought and care is evident in the way those things are deployed.
Yes.
And I think that weirdly the way that the thing that got me to notice that and start listening for more was your low health beep. Instead of just being to the beat. It beeps to the beat of the song, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, it's a really good idea and makes it, fit in and feel like less jarring and makes you feel a little bit less like your blood is made of bees.
Yes. Yeah. It's very nice.
Yeah.
And this ties into the very good soundtrack, which again, I'm sure you have a note on that later, but the soundtrack in this game is very good.
Yes.
It is full of bops left and right. Really, really good stuff. They use the same boss theme over and over, but it's really good. So I don't mind. I don't like that they reuse it, but also who gives a shit? Because it's
I get to hear
high quality.
I get to hear it a lot. So
into it.
Yeah.
The other kind of aesthetic half of this, other than the sound half, is the visual part, which we mentioned. It's kind of NES trappings. The other bit of its vocabulary is NES sprite glitching, which again I think is like an endlessly clever move. That's something that we have a shared kind of history with, of gamers of a certain age.
Yes.
And the taking that and leaning into it here works. I like it a lot better here than I've seen it in other places. I think this as a glitch aesthetic is actually really, really cool.
Yeah. 100% agreed. And I can't give like a meaningful read about like why the glitch aesthetic fits into this world when it doesn't fit into a bunch of others. I think that it is, again, deployed here with so much intentionality, and, it is pretty well observed as far as like how it would have behaved in those older games. And then it is turned into something that, has mechanical efficacy here. Yeah, I think that it's just really well integrated is the thing that makes it feel better here than it does elsewhere.
Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah. And like it's mechanically interesting too. So you get a special gun partway through the game that like lets you glitch certain world geometry. Like there'll be these walls or clouds of glitched sprites, and you have to, use this to clear them out. But something that is really kind of like necessary for some of the platforming segments, especially later on, is the fact that if you use this gun on enemies, they will glitch and they will behave differently. Like it won't neutralize them. Some of them it will, but like it will change the way that they move, or it will change like what happens when you touch them, or it will change their firing pattern. And if it's not advantageous to you, you can just glitch them back.
Yes, or not glitch them next time you run into them, because because the amount of backtracking in this, you will end up fighting the same enemies like quite a bit.
Yes.
In this, and I think this is like a very neat idea for this that I ended up in practice finding like a little bit tedious to use. Like I liked it, I thought it was a cool idea, but I didn't want to in a Metroid game. Like I kept waiting for the point in this game, like in Super Metroid or Hollow Knight or whatever, where I was just blasting through hallways without paying attention to anything.
Yeah.
And in this game, a lot of the bigger kind of like not mini boss, but like something that would be like a 2x2 sprite, do enough damage and take up enough of the hallway real estate that I felt like I had to deal with them. And having the glitch gun be part of my strategy for dealing with them meant every time I backtracked through this hallway, I would have to stop, glitch, engage with the combat, and then move through. And because it wasn't a Symphony of the Night, like I wasn't like getting levels or anything based on this,
right? And
it slowed down my pace. Like there's a couple of pacing killers in this, and that was a big one for me.
That's really funny, because I did not like experience that as a bummer at all.
I just don't like the fighting in it.
Yeah.
I don't think the fighting in the game is fun.
Yeah, I mean, I wish there was a little bit more enemy variety. And I think that like that's kind of one of my bigger problems with this. But yeah, like I generally found the fighting to be fine. The boss designs are a little the mechanics of the boss designs end up being kind of boring. Like I have in the notes here, like one half of them are interesting and one half of them are rote, but like
they all do one trick and then the trick gets faster.
Yes.
I've never wanted for additional phases for a boss before, but here's the first.
Here we go.
Here we go.
A monkey's paw curls.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I guess I never found myself like craving that lightness of progression that you mentioned being a good thing in Super Metroid, and I also agree is good there. I think that I
probably just ended up like resenting backtracking more. Like I was doing it more because I was probably again rubbing myself on the exterior of the map more.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing more laps, which eventually led to just kind of more resentment of fighting the same enemies, getting to slow down.
Yeah.
And just like was just like, well, fuck, I guess it's another time for this like weird upside down squid thing. Here's the order of operations, or I just tank the damage, through them. But the health economy of this is very different than Super Metroid 2, which is like, we did an episode on that game, and I love that game. I think it's a masterpiece. One of the least elegant things about it is how it handles health, and how instead of giving you a defensive vocabulary, the game gives you just an absolutely enormous well of health. This game also, I feel like the defensive vocabulary in this is a little bit stronger because you can you have a greater variety of weapons, and you can kind of trick enemies into like hanging out on the geometry in unadvantageous ways.
Yeah.
In a way you can't do with Super Metroid. But it means that if I just want to tank, like not a good idea in Axiom Verge to just like run through enemies.
No, you're very fragile.
And that combination ended up being very frustrating to me, because stopping and fighting all of these things, like I just kind of felt kind of damned if I do, damned if I don't. And just again slow down the pace, along with like my biggest bugbear with the enemies in this game, which is I think that they are all almost uniformly too tanky. Little enemies, like little things that are like the shape of flies and have the cadence of a bat in your video game should only ever take one shot to kill.
Yeah.
No matter what. Like whatever that gun is, one shot per bat. Like if I went down to the zoo and I got out my Glock, how many bullets do you think it should take to kill a bat? One, right? The bat's about the size of a fucking bullet.
I mean, is somebody holding it down?
Yeah. Okay. In this case, I've decided to conspire with an incredibly cruel zookeeper.
Right.
Who was a big fan of the show. Wishes we liked Sekiro more, but otherwise likes the network. And I'm just gonna do this experiment where I shoot bats execution like gangland style.
Yeah.
And just to prove a point, like I just grabbed Thomas Happ and I'm like, look, bam, look, bam, look, bam. And having little tiny things that rush you that take multiple shots is just like ridiculous to me. And like everything in this game takes like 1 to 2 shots more than it should. And it did a lot of pacing damage for me. Like between having to stop and fight and not liking the fighting very much, like in the first place, but then just having everything just take a while. And my upgrades to like increase my combat efficacy were all split into 6. And so I'd have to find 6 of them to get more powerful.
Yeah, that's not good. Like, I don't like
that added up to just so fucking slow.
Yeah.
Like I never think of Super Metroid as a fast game, but the sprint that you get in that, like there are a lot of things in Super Metroid that make that game feel fast. And in a way that Axiom Verge never felt fast to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that maybe it's because I so associated this with Metroid for NES, which is a slow game, especially compared to Super Metroid. Like I just wasn't looking for the quickness and the lightness in that. I agree that that a lot of enemies take a little bit too much. You take too many shots, but it like those pebbles didn't pile up in my pack, I guess.
I think I just like Super Metroid so much more than I like Metroid.
That's a reasonable take.
Like I just think this is a much better game. Like I like Metroid. It's really revolutionary for the time. But I don't think it's a particularly good game.
Yeah.
It is a lot slower. Like I think that pace is a lot slower, but at the time it felt very mysterious and cool. But now, I'm a go-go gamer of the 90s. Like I need that sweet adrenaline rush of the awkward gate of Super Metroid.
Yeah. No, you can't unring that bell. You can't forget your time with Super Metroid.
Like Hollow Knight or something. Like the other Metroidvania type games, Momodora that like are move quicker.
Yeah.
Like but that tankiness ended up being a big frustrating thing to me. Specifically with little guys that rushed me.
Yeah.
So I take damage, I'm very frail. I'm just trying to get through this area because I'm trying to find the next little bit of the map to see if my new glitch gun will work or if there's a glitch wall I forgot about. That added up a lot for me.
Yeah. So that never became a problem for me until I got the bombs. Which made it so that half of the drops ended up being things that I didn't need. So like, hey, we're going to take away half of your health pickups that you may be relying on. That's when it became a bummer for me.
Well, and having 2 different types of glitch wall, I think, is a kind of a misguided decision in this. Like, I would have visually indicated that differently.
Yeah.
As opposed to just being like a glitch and a slightly more aggressive looking glitch. Lots of guns.
Lots of guns.
In the game. And they're like largely optional. Like I ended up ending the game with like 8 guns, but I looked on the wiki and there's 16 or something.
Yeah, I think I got most, if not all of them. It's pretty ridiculous. You get like the number of guns you get outstrips like the keyboard shortcut you would use to go to them.
Yeah.
So that is that is pretty funny. They're good, but oftentimes I found that I like had the kind of gun that I liked. And I would get something new and say, hey, this is great. And then I would go and use it and be like, oh, no, like I really like the old one better. Let's go back to it. There were very few times where it ended up being like, oh, yeah, like this is a key for this particular situation in the world. Right.
There's a couple of particular
them like enemy. That. Yeah, there are a few.
Couple bosses.
Yeah.
But in general, like there are lots of side grades and a lot of them deal with like the pattern of the bullet.
Yes.
So this like everything does shit for damage except for the short range lightning thing. So it's just what pattern of bullet do you like and how fast do you want to tap the button. You know, so like I ended up relying for a large portion of the game on that lightning shotgun thing.
Yeah.
Because everything was taking too long to kill, and it goes through walls, and
going through walls is a big thing.
So, you know, in terms of the combat, like the main way to succeed in the combat in Axiom Verge, as far as I can tell, and maybe there's a more like MLG pro gamer way to do this that I didn't figure out, but would be to get an enemy on the other side of a wall, and then kill them with that lightning shotgun where they couldn't hurt me. Like I didn't really have a good dodge. I wasn't dodging bullets very often. I would get them stuck on a corner, or I would go from below a platform and they'd be above the platform, and I would hit them with a lightning gun until they died.
Yeah.
Was most of my combat. Like I was very rarely in danger from things other than things that you had no choice but to be in danger of. Yeah. So like there are these like escape mental patient looking, you know, enemies. Like that's how they're coded to me. Like I'm not trying to be ableist with that, but it seems what they're trying to evoke.
Yeah, it's the zombified Sudran, kind of like regular people. Yeah, that like run up to you straight away. And,
run up to you and slash you. I did not have the DPS to kill them before they hit me. And oftentimes there weren't enough walls. So enemies are in two broad categories, like enemies that hit me, and I would just try to like kill them before they did too much damage, but they always did some damage.
Yeah.
Or enemies that I could avoid taking damage against, but that was through making an enemy that flew or a stationary enemy have a wall between me and it, and then zapping it through the wall with lightning.
Yeah.
And very few points in between those two things. Like I was never really meaningfully engaging with the combat in like a kinetic sense. I like slowly taking apart a combat situation in a Dark Souls or Kingfield way. Like I don't mind being safe and conservative. Yeah. In this, I think it mixes really poorly with backtracking. Where I just didn't want to do it over and over, you know, and even over and over, like 3 times, like even, you know, I did it more than that, but even if I was just doing it 3 times, it's like, well, I've seen this hallway. I know which platforms are in this hallway. I know where I need to position enemies to not take too much damage. Just make me do that once though. Yeah. Like don't make me do that over and over and over. And then it ended up bumming me out. Like the combat in this game, I did not like. Yeah. Well, there was like some of the boss fights, even though I agree that they're like too simple. Yeah. But some of the boss fights I enjoyed fighting. I never really enjoyed fighting rank and file enemies in this though.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed, you know, doing basically what you described, using their movement against them, even if it wasn't just to like, you know, lock them into a place where I could shoot them through a wall, you know, and they couldn't hit me. It ended up feeling pretty kinetic for me actually. And the only thing that really, you know, thwarted that was enemies whose AI was so basic that they pretty much just homed in and tried to do damage to me by touching me.
The rushing enemies, yeah.
And
there's a good number of those.
Yes, there are many of them. Oftentimes they fly, and that is a real problem. Yeah. But other than that, like I ended up, enjoying it more.
One of the ways in which I think that, like in talking about it and researching it today, that I think that a way somebody can have an easier time with this than I did. Not that I didn't like find the game like super challenging or anything either. I mean, easier time in terms of like have more fun. Yeah. Is that one of the ways that you glitch enemies? Some enemies, when you glitch them, they are more consistently or always drop health pickups. Yeah. And because that rhythm, like because I wanted to explore and get to the next set piece or boss or make progress or really honestly get the next upgrade because they were fun to use. Yeah. You know, I was not always slowly experimenting on every enemy to see what would glitch them. Yeah, and
I was always doing that.
I think if you're doing that, like a lot of times you're getting more health pickups, which means you can be a little bit more carefree with your combat. You don't have to quite be so protective of your limited health pool.
Yeah, and I just like for me, it was like, okay, I memorized which enemies were basically health pickup pinatas when you glitch them, and I would always prioritize that.
Yeah. So I could see that making a big difference. But I had a forward momentum in this that I felt like wasn't answered. Yeah. You know,
I can see that.
Which happens. Yeah. The bosses that we mentioned, like, you know, about half good, half not good. They look neat. Oh yeah. While still, you know, like they're cool, big, impressive sprites. And a lot of times they have like one trick. It's kind of amazing. Like the first 3 or 4 of them, you just do the same thing and then you have to do it slightly faster. And it's basically the same. Yeah. Like, you know, figuring out the trick can be kind of satisfying. Like there's a Scorpion that can only be hit from below, right before the Scorpulon, you get a gun that shoots little perpendicular side bullets. And I was like, oh, I have to duck and shoot. And that's literally it. Like you duck and shoot and you avoid a bullet spread. And that's the fight. And you do it long enough until the thing dies.
Yeah.
It's really weird. Like I think the boss fights in this game are pretty strange.
It's funny. Like
in that respect.
It feels like you could have like halved the number of enemies or halved the number of bosses and just like combined the gimmicks in a certain way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the like the density of ideas mechanically, you know, for for like what the bosses do and what they require of you as a player is spread very thin.
And it's not, you know, again, one of the things when in talking about Axiom Verge is that you can always be like, oh, it was like that in Metroid. And like, it's true. Like the Metroid bosses are shitty DPS races generally, you know, and even in Super Metroid, like they're not great.
Yeah.
You know, that's not the strength of that game. Like there are ones that are better than others, but that's not the strength of that game.
Yeah. But it's still a choice to make it to make them be like that. Like it's not like you are rolling back to a time, you know, when people thought that those were good or we didn't know there was anything better.
Exactly. Yeah. Like this is a modern game. This is, you know, this came out in the 2010s. Yeah. Like there is no reason for this to really still have these kind of rote bosses, I think.
Yeah. We mentioned the pickup economy. This I've got some problems with. You know, sometimes you end up getting like an upgrade to your lab coat and it gives you a whole new movement ability. Oftentimes you are picking up what basically amounts to heart containers. Where you need 6 of them to improve one of your stats. Sometimes you pick up one that is a full upgrade, oftentimes for like range for your weapons and things like that, or projectile size. But a lot of it is, you know, basically you're collecting crumbs to try and form into a meal.
Yeah. Yep. And it realized, made me realize a little bit that I don't like heart containers. Like I play this, you know, at the same time I played with, been playing Ocarina. I don't really like that as a reward. I don't want 1/4 of something. Yeah. You know, the same way I don't want 0.3% frost damage in a Dragon Age sword. Like I'm just not that interested in piecing together something that would be cool. Yeah.
It's weird because like there's the fanfare of getting one of these, you know, either a heart container or one of the upgrades in Axiom Verge, and it plays a little song and you get like the little visual flair of having picked something up, and then it's like you have marginally stepped your way towards something else. Like there's a real mismatch between the theme and the result. Yeah. Just that you know, the fanfare. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. And it ends up being okay. Like it ends up being, you know, I think that if the regular upgrades in this game were not cool, this would be a Vorpal flaw. Yeah. Like, you know, I'm doing it for the chance of getting something very cool. And the things that you get are very cool. Yes. When you get them, it's just the fact that like it is, you know, in the it's not quite like a Gatling gun Russian roulette. You know, but it does have a Russian roulette feeling. Yeah. Like roughly a 1 in 6 chance of getting something good. You know, like shooting myself in the head, I guess is good. This metaphor. I feel like the Gatling gun Russian roulette is actually a really good metaphor, but when you start making a good thing, it kind of fucks it up. Right. It just depends which is winning and which is losing. And exactly. For whom. Yeah, exactly. You know, whomst will get him out. Yeah. Geez. And also sometimes you get a note or a translation key or things like that. And this gets to something that like half works for me and half doesn't, which is this game's kind of really heavy emphasis on plot and world building. And whether or not this works for you is going to be a matter of taste. I found that the broad strokes of this were really cool. I was not necessarily very invested in like the interpersonal relationships. Yeah. And Sudra culture and things like that. Like basically the more nouns it started throwing at me beyond like the basic idea of like what a variant is and what the main villain's role is in this and like, you know, who these Rusalka are, like all of that, basically the stuff that you encounter as, you know, part of the story and as dialogue, you know, information that is given to you by characters, that works for me in a real big bad way. The stuff in the notes, it really kind of defied caring about for me.
it's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Like there are paragraphs in this that are amongst the most Teflon thing I've seen in a game.
Yeah.
Like some of those like 4-page lore notes you get that are translated. And I, you know, on one hand, I want to appreciate that backstory is extant.
Yes.
You know, on the other hand, you know, it kind of runs into two things. Like one, you know, I think that it's just kind of low quality. I think that, you know, the writing in those bits is not interesting. Like there's not interesting detail. It's not written with flavor to it. But the other thing is, I think that the kind of general talkiness and the nonstop dialogue you have with your handler in this is like a known atmosphere killer to me.
Yeah.
Like if you're playing a Metroidvania, I want to be alone against the unknown. And having somebody guide you through that is the absolute strongest whistling in the dark imaginable.
This didn't bother me like it bothered you. I did not see this as being like akin. Okay, it's akin to, but not nearly as devastating as like a Metroid Fusion.
No, I don't necessarily think it's that bad.
Yeah,
I think it's just a combination of it being stuff I'm like. I also like. I didn't like that in Metroid Fusion, but I think that the X creature in Metroid Fusion is more interesting than what I was learning about here.
Yes, like
the actual quality of the writing was a little bit better. In term, like this is more like I did not like, you know, getting the telepathic transmissions. I really didn't like the dialogue before boss battles in this, and it just having the words all the time. Like, you know, I really like silent protagonist Samus. Like I really like Hollow Knight, where words are very rare. Like you opt into it during a couple of hub zones with NPCs where you stumble upon somebody. Yeah. You know, and it kind of made me feel less lonely in a way where I felt like loneliness would help with this, but I very rarely felt lonely in this game.
Yeah. I still felt lonely primarily because you never interact with another human. I guess until the very end, I felt very much like I was at the whim of these powerful alien beings that were lying to me and basically had total control over me. I really dug that hostility of it. But Trace himself is a real flat tire of a character. Yeah.
Like I think I could see that if Trace acted like a fucking person.
Yes.
Like he is not scared. Like I was reading about this. I read a review of this where somebody was talking about how they couldn't tell if the dialogue was supposed to be funny or not.
Yeah.
Before the battles. And that's a big problem.
Yes.
Like he's constantly just like, oh, I guess it's worth a try. Like, you know, I guess I have to shoot you. Like he's horrible. I fucking hate Trace.
Yeah.
You know, he's not Alan Wake, but in the Watch Out for Fireballs, like LVP main character personality things, this guy sucks the moon from the sky. And it just him, you know, just being like weirdly nonchalant, like a little bit scared, but not like if the game wanted me to feel at the mercy of these big things and be absolutely fucking terrified, I wish my character was absolutely fucking terrified.
Yeah. I basically disregarded Trace.
Yeah, it's very hard for me to ignore things in games.
Yeah,
in general is a big difference between my gamer typographic and like other people. But I can't, you know, it's hard for me to ignore the text. Like, Trace is acting a certain way, like I will notice it, and I wish he was scared and they leaned into the horror of this very much.
It's funny, like Trace to me reminds me of the main character from Soma.
Oh, sure.
Like, oh my god, you dipshit! This has been explained 7 times.
Yeah.
Nothing. No way that you're reacting to this actually matches what's going on.
The guy in Soma eventually gets scared. Trace never does, and then he just gets put to sleep forever.
Well, yeah.
Which good. They're doing a sequel of this, and they're not bringing back any of the characters.
Yeah.
Thank fucking Christ. Yeah. Like, put Trace in a shallow grave. 2020. Hoppersfield for Trace. Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, you do end up picking up these notes. I went to the wiki and I read a bunch of them. Oftentimes, like you're not going to get the notes. You're going to get like a translation key. This kind of plays into another mechanic. You find like a passcode device where you can just put in a code that says like reveal the name of the language, and it like translate these glyphs. And a lot of these work into like pretty oblique like treasure hunts, where you get something to decode to make a password that will like open up a passage that will change the level geometry in a certain area. Like figuring out one or two of these was really cool, but like I'm not here for Fez stuff. Like I'm in Fez for Fez stuff.
Yeah.
It just said like it was a little bit like a I don't know, ice cream and steak. They're both really good, but you wouldn't put them together.
Yeah, you don't want to slather one onto another one.
Yes.
Yeah. I would agree with that. As much as the passcode system is really weird in this, when you get that ability, it doesn't tell you where to put those in,
right,
or how to do it, which I found confusing. I eventually figured it out, and then it kind of ties a little bit. Changing that geometry ties into the hidden world mechanic, like the secret world mechanic in this, which is how you get, if you're 100%ing it, it's how you get the mega weapons, or whatever. And it's a cool idea, and again plays into that strength of the aesthetics. Like you get scan lines added when you're in those worlds, like little challenge zones. But again, I wasn't playing this for completionism.
Those are also like randomized to a certain degree.
Yes. Which is a cool idea. One tip I want to tell people who are listening to this, who ultimately come away from it like they've never played it and they want to, if you think the talkiness, so I didn't find this out until after I played it, but if you think the talkiness would bother you as well, if you choose speedrun mode and then just choose not to speedrun it, it gets rid of all that stuff and makes it this weird hostile thing where nothing talks to you.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
That sounds amazing to me, and I really wish I had done it. I guess that's what the developer of this talked to Jeremy Parrish on an episode of Retronauts and talked about that. And it's just like recommended that for people who want like an old school Metroid hostile, alienating experience, which I was so absolutely over the top, desperately horny for and did not get.
Yeah.
So if you decide to go into this, don't be like me. Throw on speedrun mode.
Yeah. I had no idea that was the case.
Yep. Yeah. I didn't find out until too late. One
dude. It's crazy. And like this is executed to a pretty high degree of like precision. Like the different elements here, the development and design, the art and the musician are like, and the music rather, they're all done pretty well, even if like some of the the choices that ended up being made, especially on the design development side, but like didn't really work. But it's super impressive that it's like one guy.
It's really amazing. Like in that respect, it does not feel like that.
No,
it does not have that feeling of kind of amateurness, which other small team games that we've played do, even when I end up liking them. Like even something like I like Cave Story more than this. Cave Story is basically one dude as well. And is not quite, has more of an amateur feel than this does. In terms of like kind of out of the box looking assets and stuff like that. Just kind of the way it visually coheses. And then things that are made by more that, we look at Valdis Story or Salt and Sanctuary, which are made by very small teams of like two or three people. Does not feel as professionally put together as this or as slick.
A lot of that I believe is helped by the fact that Hap came from professional game development. So I think that he just kind of had a lot of experience, if not doing a lot of the stuff himself. Like he has said in interviews, like, I never really like wrote music before, but I think that he just had worked enough with people who had done those things that he picked up a workflow or an idea or kind of an idea of an approach.
Which is neat. Like it's impressive as hell. Like
it's especially impressive on the pixel art. Like, the enemies, take or leave them, but these bosses that, the bosses or the Rusalki, like these NPCs that you're dealing with, the gigantic heads, like the combination H.R. Giger and David Cronenberg kind of stuff. Like the pixel art in this is chef fingers, Italian chef kiss.
It's neat. It's good. It's impressive. It's respectable.
The soundtrack is amazing. Have you seen the vinyl?
I have not.
Take a look. So the soundtrack of this on vinyl, or at least the edition that I saw, like it is pressed onto a translucent orange kind of wax. So the actual vinyl disc itself is see-through. It looks like a crazy cool alien artifact.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, he began working on this in 2010 as the sole developer, and just over the course of 5 years ended up putting it out. It's difficult to find like anything that is really special about the development process. Like he initially started the main weapon that you had, or the only weapon that you had, was going to be like a combination of the bionic commando arm and the the disc chain thing from Rygar. Yeah, but he decided to make it more, like a Metroid or Contra kind of thing. But that's like the only anecdote that I saw, other than like, it's, lonely and hard working on stuff by yourself, but you really don't have to deal with the coordination either. So it's actually kind of liberating.
Yeah. And there is that interview, that Retronauts interview. I did not actually listen to that because at the time it came out, it was before I had played the game, and at that point we covered this for Check It Out Comrade, and I didn't, I played the first couple hours and bounced off it. So I was just like, I don't really care about this game. I never listen to that episode. So there is some insight out there if you are hungry for it.
Yeah.
I did not get a chance to revisit it before we recorded because I have a guest in town.
Oh yeah.
So just a little peek into the real life of Gary Butterfield. He's got a guest in town. It's not a euphemism.
Yeah.
And my shirt that says it's not a euphemism is leading to a lot of questions answered by my shirt that says that's not a euphemism.
Yeah.
I got a guest in town.
Yeah. Something that I thought like that kind of like made me go, oh, okay, is the fact that Nick Sutner was the account manager at Sony, and also like Shane Bettenhausen worked alongside Thomas Happ to get this to happen. Like, oh, it's like a one-up crew.
Suspicious.
Yeah, they're part of the cabal.
Yeah.
I like Nick Sutner and Shane Bettenhausen. It was good. Yeah, it was good to see them in the credits for this. Yeah,
they seem all right.
Yeah,
I liked them on One Up Podcast.
Yep.
So let's get into it.
Let's do it.
The opening of this, it starts with this little prologue cartoon. In New Mexico in 2005, there's an experiment happening in this lab with a beam collider. It explodes. The lab collapses onto the main character, Trace.
Yep.
Which probably, if I'm being fair, and this was not fair on my part, but part of my expectation about atmosphere of this was probably set by its, again, almost actionable resemblance to Out of This World.
Yeah.
In terms of its opening, like I was like, oh, like this is going to be like have some another world DNA. But I immediately started getting talked to by the aliens.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they show up right away. Yeah. So like just fades to black, and you wake up in the first area here, Aribu, where Trace, kind of just is inside this metal egg chamber, what seems to be far underground, and a mysterious voice says, "Hey, there's a gun in the next room."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you walk over to this, you get when you pick up the gun, to the left again, Metroid, you get this weapon. It's called the Axiom Disruptor, and when you pick it up, this alien writing fills the screen.
Yes.
And this weapon is considered, you get this little text, is a high-tech biomechoid weapon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that just kind of merges with you in a certain way. Everything is very alien. Everything is off-putting, and the sense of danger is heightened by this mysterious woman saying, "Hey, you need to go. Someone's coming after you."
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's referring to. What is coming after you in this? I
don't know. Is she referring to the variants?
I guess, but they just hang out.
Yeah, no, they're just standing around looking for demons.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I thought this was, because later you have the trippy part where you do get kind of stalked for a second as you're tripping out.
Yeah.
And I was kind of expecting that, but the gulf between this and that Like I was kind of kept waiting to be chased.
Yeah.
Based on this, like a Metroid Fusion kind of thing.
Yeah.
Man,
you really love Metroid Fusion.
You know, the one thing you gotta know about me: Prime, Fusion, the twin pillars of my Metroid love. Yeah. It's amazing that for something to like. I think that I don't know whether I like this more than Fusion or not. But the things that this does that are frustrating to me are things that I will admit that Metroid Fusion did well.
Okay.
Like that sense of pursuit, like that, like cool, I think that the X thing is cooler than any antagonist in this game. There's a cool factor to Fusion that I think is better than this, even though Fusion also felt like a talky betrayal.
Yeah.
Of my good silent Metroid.
Man, Fusion is way more frustrating than this to me.
I believe it. Like I have not, there's a reason I have not revisited it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
since we did it for the show 8 years ago.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. 8 years. 2012.
Yep.
It's dumb.
Hi, everybody.
Let's die already. Like, let's go to the zoo and get my bat guy to put a bullet in us. Like, it's time to go.
Oh, man. So, this whole area here, it's, you've got some biological blood bubbles blocking away, little Orbeez. Flush down the toilet here, and your gun can blow them out of the way, but they kind of keep coming back as they go, which is cool and scary.
Yeah, I love the blood bubbles.
Yeah.
You get this area as you're going that's filled with static, and if you die. Yeah. At this point, like and if you die, from an enemy or whatever happens the first time, you resurrect here, and when you die, you wake up back at the egg. They act kind of like bonfires. The woman says that she saved your mind machines.
Yeah, I really enjoy the language that the Rusalki use, like just kind of the analogs, like when they're trying to reach for like a description of what they are, they say that we are like water people or something like that. Just some of the just kind of like weird portmanteaus that they come up with feel like they've got a real kind of like musicality to them to me. But the idea that like, we saved your mind machines. I kind of know what that means. I can infer that there's like cloning and memory replication going on. But yeah, I dig that quite a bit. I guess this is my long way of saying that.
Yeah, I am into it as well. I have no problem with that. And they're water people because of their base. The word comes from Russian folklore.
Yes.
This malicious water spirit creature.
It's good.
So, they look neat.
Yeah, but there's not really much in the way of enemies here in a reboot. It is just a classic kind of onboarding kind of area. You've got these crawlers that are, going around the platforms that you have to either shoot or time or jumping around. Not too great. Not too difficult, I guess. Yep.
We introduced this early obstacle that falls off in the game.
Yeah.
Which are these laser gates with a little button you shoot to open the laser. When you do this, you get in this next room and you get your next gun, which is called the Nova, which you can fire that shoots a bullet. And when you press fire again, it explodes in like a 6-way spread. I was expecting this to do a lot more damage.
Yeah, because there are 6 projectiles and it explodes.
Yes, it does not feel like it does 6 times the damage.
No.
As my regular gun. And it fires so much slower because you can't tap fire. You deploy it like it has the cadence of a grenade launcher. You send it at something, then you explode it, but it takes basically the same number of hits to kill things. Like I did not use this weapon. Like I wanted to. I thought it seemed cool.
It's definitely different. Like this is unlike any second weapon I've gotten in a game like this.
But why doesn't it do more damage?
Well, why do they have the bowl?
Why do they have the bowl, Bart? Why did I have the bowl? I just really thought this would act like a missile. Really, it's a tool because you can shoot it around and kind of blow it up and hit these laser gates. Like you shoot around the laser gate to hit the button on the other side.
Yeah, and eventually this puzzle just straight up goes away as the Nova gets piled under, tens of other weapons that you can find.
Exactly.
Yeah. You can get into a room full of the blood bubbles, and if you do some real frantic digging, you can get a size node. This seemed really I could never really notice the difference that this made.
It's incredibly subtle.
Yeah.
I noticed it. I actually restarted a game to compare my the size of my drill to the beginning of the game. After I picked up several of these, and there is a difference.
Okay.
But it is it's an hour hand. It's not a second hand.
Right.
Yeah. So
regardless, you do end up getting to a boss arena and you find your first variant, Zeter.
Yes. Every time you fight a boss, you get this little dialogue thing with Trace just being like, "What am I, chopped liver?" Like, not quite, but
excuse me, princess.
Excuse me. Like, just like, whoa, that just happened. Looks like Zeter's gonna spill the tea. Like that's overstating it. It's mostly him just being like, "What is this? I'm just a human. I don't know what's going on."
Yeah.
Until eventually he kind of gets a little bit wry about it, which made me want to crack him over my knee. Stuff him into the world's smallest locker and set it on fire. But early on he does this. He's trying to talk to these things, and they have this weird caveman speak where there's like Athenos say kill demon over and over. And this is when I saw that review that was talking about whether they couldn't tell the dialogue was supposed to be funny. Like this is what I think it's referring to. It's very silly and it's very the same every time.
And these little dialogue bits, they undercut like what is cool about these bosses, both like aesthetically and from a story perspective, like actually what they are.
Yeah. I mean, it is a thing where I think that, so aesthetically, yes. From a story perspective, the fact that they're all just like failed clones that used to be people gave me pretty big diminishing returns. Like the idea of that was cool once, but it's not like they're different clones with different stories, or, it's just what if there was a bunch of clones?
They are. A lot of the notes are not actually Athenos writing.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Some of the notes are like one clone talking to the other. Oh, also there are clones happening here.
There are clones. I did not realize they were different because I didn't get all the notes and then I hated the notes.
Yeah.
But I feel like you don't get like that boss sense of like a story.
Yeah.
Like a point of comparison, a recent point of comparison is like Blasphemous. Like you'd go in and fight a boss and it'd be like, okay, well, I can guess that this is, somebody who turned into a tree monster made of hair. But then you can later find some lore notes or whatever that like tells their backstory.
Yeah.
And here, like, it does seem like it's the same thing, but there was just, for me, like a disconnect between that. Like I wasn't getting that around the same area. I had to remember the names of all these things. Like the names of the areas and bosses are all just proper nonsense nouns.
Yeah.
As opposed to like the three torments, which I know what that means.
Yeah.
But I don't know what Abzu means, or Zeter, or, Kimcab, or Libidib, There's like, these all have etymology that are kind of clever, like Arabu means entrance, or uses the same root word, but that doesn't make it more memorable to me,
Yeah. I think that for me, like maybe I'm rounding up because of the body horror that works for me in a huge way on this.
See, they didn't look enough like people for it to be like body horror to me. They just looked like bugs.
Yeah.
Like they were telling me that they used to be people, but one of them's just a straight up scorpion. Like, what do you mean that used to be a person? That's dumb. Like, why doesn't this look like Giger? Why doesn't this look like somebody who's like having a Cronenberg nightmare? It just looks like a bug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is your first boss. It's like a big, almost like a snail kind of thing. It's a big pod. And floats left and right and has 2 attacks.
Yep. It sprays projectiles.
Right.
And then sometimes creates little mines and you run under it and shoot it.
Yeah. And it's pretty obvious like what you're supposed to shoot at. Like, oh, the fleshy bits. Cool. That'll that's where my gun will do damage. But like it's really easy to avoid the projectile spray, and the mines, you kind of have to consciously walk on them.
Yeah. There's not a lot to it.
Right.
It's a pretty easy boss, which makes sense for the first boss.
Yes.
After that, you get the laser drill, which you mentioned. This allows you to destroy certain rock walls. Has an incredibly satisfying noise, and they cleverly on the switch at least map this to one of the shoulder buttons.
Yeah.
So you don't have to switch to it. Eventually, this also falls off, and you'll stop needing it.
Because other abilities give you the ability, or the other abilities let you destroy destructible blocks.
Yeah. Well, and there are just fewer destructible blocks.
Oh yeah.
As you go, like they cease being the critical path and start becoming sometimes a path to a secret, and sometimes just don't exist. So
right.
So we have moved. We can now scoot through the bottom of this area. There are these floating tentacle monsters down here. These fire just kind of like a basic projectile at you. They're a little bit tougher than what we've been dealing with. And then these worms that shoot out of the wall in these little like half circle loops.
Yeah, so there are ones that do the half circle loops, and there are the other ones that do. They basically act as horizontal damage gates for jumping up between platforms.
Yeah.
And you have to like bait them out so you can do damage to them, so you can make an uninterrupted leap. Yeah.
Yep.
So we had done into Abzu, not the weird underwater exploration game, but ABSU. And things are a little bit more glitchy in places here, and they're getting a little bit more organic. Like there are mushroom platforms and things like that.
Yes. Yeah. This is where they introduced those zombie enemies. I do not like them.
Right.
It's one of my least favorite enemies of the game. Everything we fought so far has been fine.
Yeah.
I do not like these things. I find it very hard to avoid getting hit by them. They run at you, they swipe and leap. Sometimes you can duck under them when they leap, but sometimes I could not.
Yeah, sometimes they stop short.
Yeah. And then there are also these plant enemies that spew these waterfalls of damaging spores.
Yeah.
At you.
At the very least, there's not a poison effect. That would be really bad in this.
Boy. Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. Yep. It starts scatting over the soundtrack.
What?
When you have the poison effect instead of the beeping. Because Trace is a DJ name. Like, let's all just be
it absolutely is. And the thing that I know about DJs is they all love scat.
They do love scat. There's big,
do they?
Big, well, they did in Europe in 1994 or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, when Super Metroid came out,
an indicative sample. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually, though, you pass through like the flora stratum here, and you get to something, an area that is a little bit more mechanical. And you find the voice that has been speaking to you. You find this character named Elsa Nova, which is a gigantic face set into like a Giger like spine room. Yes.
This is on the cover. Like, have you ever seen the cover of the game? These creatures, and these are uniformly like a triumph of design.
Yeah.
These are incredibly cool looking.
I love it.
Yeah. Really cool. They do good work, like making them look different. There are multiple ones we're going to interact with, and they all look reasonably different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, what if a Giger spaceship had a face and a personality?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
Neat looking.
Yeah, but she is the one who's been talking to us through the mind machines, and she kind of gives us our mission. There are things that we need to do to bring her and a lot of the others back online. We need to fix the power filter that has been malfunctioning, or else she will die. And she has no real guidance about that, aside from saying that, the filter is not near.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And then she takes a nap. When you're down here, you find the Kilver weapon, which is your short burst of electricity shotgun.
VIP.
VIP. Yeah. I ended up using this for most of the game, honestly, until eventually I got a lightning gun that homed in on whatever was closest automatically. But this was what I used for most of the game other than bosses, because it has, at least for quite a while, the highest DPS.
Yeah.
You'll get, and then going through walls. So it answered, it enabled my main way of fighting in this game, which was getting walls between me and enemies. And it answered partially my main complaint of the game was that enemies took too many hits to kill.
Yes.
So useful weapon.
Yeah. This also gets rid of the need to do the Nova projectile, because you can just like straight up shoot through the laser barriers or other walls to hit deactivation nodes and things like that.
Yeah. You had a good run.
You had a good 20-minute run.
Yeah, it lasted about 20 minutes, and now you're out. Friendship ended with Nova. As you kind of walk down this hallway above these compartments, we start seeing this container full of dead bodies, which again I love. Like the way the atmosphere in this game works is when it is a set piece room. Like hallways don't work for me, but when I actually arrive at a destination, I think they're cool looking.
This is incredibly striking.
Cool. Yeah, this is awesome.
It's all, I mean, like, there's also a certain amount of comic timing to this because, like, one of the compartments has like 2 bodies. Think, okay, those like humanoid. That's kind of like the feral people who jump at me. And the next one has a slightly larger one. I think there are 3 or 4 more after that, to where it is the biggest room you have been in the game, and it is a pile of bodies that would not look out of place and blasphemous.
Yeah. Big blasphemous energy.
Yeah.
To it, or like that big pile of bodies in a Death's Gambit.
Oh yeah.
Clothes. You know, it just looks cool. Like this is great. You know. So as you're getting this, you know, it's 2 times the height of the screen. It just increasingly high as you climb up. You climb up this to reach the next boss, whose name is Talal. Mm-hmm. You try to talk to Talal as well, but you know, Talal does not work, or you know, does not answer you. Again, you know, Athedos says destroy, demon destroy. Well, that just happened, and then you get into
was it something I said?
Yeah. Talal spills the tea.
Where's everybody going? Bingo?
Yeah, fuck, man.
Oh, jeez. And Talal is like a gigantic, like cyber warrior kind of guy. Vaguely humanoid, and he has like a massive cannon that he fires, and there's nothing that's really vulnerable on him aside from these glowing yellow tumors.
Yeah. He's very like, he's kind of like a cyber warrior guy, but he's very like squat.
Yeah.
Like he also kind of looks just like a tank.
Yeah.
Sure. Like he's probably the most humanoid of anything that we've seen so far, but he kind of also looks like a weird, like, I guess kind of like a mecha.
Yeah.
Like a bulldozer mecha.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the not finding, you know, being able to see the platform in the background first started fucking me up, because there is a platform you have to stand on to shoot the tumors on his back, and I did not see it for a while.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it is hard for me to see.
Did you find a way to do damage?
You know, I got up there.
Okay.
I ended up actually jumping and hitting the platform with my head, and then being like, "Oh, that's not the background," and then jumping on it. Stop using color in video games. It offends me personally. Yeah, conform to me. But once you get up there, all you do is you stand on that platform, jump and shoot, and then either duck or jump over bullets. Mm-hmm. It's fucking incredible. Like it is one of the simplest boss fights we've ever done for this show.
Yeah.
It's just and then he goes faster. He gets red. He shoots faster. So I like duck, jump, all while shooting, and you beat the boss.
Yeah.
Pretty low quality dude, I think.
Yeah, agreed. Way too simple, and it's not even saved by the huge explosion of bloody flesh.
I do like the explosion.
The explosion is good.
And I like the explosion of like healing pickups that you get there, like way more than you could ever need.
Yep.
Like that has a good like payday feel.
Big payday.
Big payday.
Yeah. It's like when I spilled too many treats out of the container. You're not gonna pick them back up. Come on, no. Be a monster.
Oh, big payday.
Big payday.
Big payday. So you beat this, explodes, and you drop into this chamber of like more glitchy, but it's like flesh glitchy. And this gets you the address disruptor, which is your tool that corrupts or decorrupts weak enemies and blocks. This is like your glitch wave.
Yeah. So this not only will kind of open up areas that are slightly glitched, but this is a way to, if you see flickering platforms, you can make them solid. By hitting them with this.
Yep.
But you need to, it won't do everything, which is a problem. Like you get, like we mentioned, a power up to this that is functionally identical.
Yes. Yeah. It also will solidify bubbles.
Yeah.
Which is how you get out. You zap these bubbles and you can ride up, which again, I kind of felt like bubbles were going to show up later as well, but this is the bubble room.
Yeah.
As far as I can tell.
Yeah, it pops up like 1 or 2 times after this, but yeah, it's not necessarily common. This highlights something that I think is that this game does very, very well. And it's like a basic thing that every Metroidvania ought to do, which is you trap yourself when you go for a power up, and you have to learn to use the power up to get out of the situation that you're in.
Oh yeah.
So sometimes designers forget to do that.
Yeah. You do get taught how to use the things. Like yes. I think that there is A little bit of a problem again with like how that interfaces with the map.
Yeah.
Remembering glitchy versus very glitchy, one panel versus two panel areas. But I do think that like the first tutorial on how the thing works generally is very good.
Yeah.
So you can then get kind of over through this overgrown part near the top, jumping on these vine berries there in the background to get over to Z. And we'll do some backtracking, but this is the first time we have visited Z.
Yeah. And like we are working our way east across the map, basically.
Yes.
As it goes. And Z, at least the first area here, it's the steam tunnels. You are jumping between platforms trying to avoid blasts of steam. And the patterns do end up getting pretty intricate here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope I never get blasted with steam in real life. Like out of things that happen in video games,
I mean,
a blast of steam seems like pretty likely.
So my house doesn't have a basement. It's on a concrete slab. And so my utilities are actually in like the utility closet that's at the center of my house. Okay. So, like you can get at it from one side in the hallway that leads to my bedrooms. Like my kitchen abuts against it. Like my living room abuts against it. There's a door to it in my dining room. Like everything is organized around my furnace and my water heater. And I have thought, okay, so say a regulator goes bad on my water heater. There is almost no place in my house where I could be where I would not have all my skin scalded off by steam. Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're going to have to go live in the car for a little bit. Can't go in there. It's steamed up.
Yep. House is steamed.
House is steamed.
Yep. Oh, that's what I'm dealing with.
Yeah. Send the Epic Game Store. So you're making your way past the steam. There's also this long hallway with these monsters that snake. I think these are the things I was thinking about earlier.
Yeah. Boy, these things suck.
Yeah,
they do a lot of damage.
But I just don't understand. Like they do a lot of damage, but to me they were just like a time tax because I would just stand and wait for them to go back and forth, and just shoot them, and they would take lots of hits, and then I would move to the next one.
No.
Like I got hit by the first one, but then it was just a chore.
Yeah.
To fight them, but yeah, they do suck. Agreed for multiple axes of suck.
Yeah. Oh, there's also this like a really subtle like hindrance to you. There are places where there's pink foliage on the ground that will slow you down and actually make it so you can't it will slightly reduce your max jump height. And it's very subtle to the point where I had no idea why I wasn't able to make the jumps that I very clearly was doing. And I think that I solved this by accident.
Yeah. Again, like a lot of this stuff will disappear. There's not a lot of cross-pollination between these zones.
Right.
It's, this does not interface with like your drone launch very often or things like later you would get to mitigate this problem.
Yeah. That is an issue. There are a lot of disparate things here that are never combined.
Synthesized.
Yeah, never synthesized. Yeah.
You continue through this and you reach another one of these gigantic Rusalka creatures. Elsinova, the mind telepath you've been talking to, says this is Veruska, and she is in need of repair drones.
Yes.
So I am a slave for these creatures for some reason. I do not know why they're tasking me with things. Was it something I said? And we learn about them. They are Rusalki, which are water machines in their language. And this is based on a Russian folklore of these kind of water demon, succubus, temptress demon things.
And now I need a bestiary of Russian folklore.
They're cool.
Yeah.
They have a good flavor to them. Like they're neat. So
just man, give like, I don't know. I want to collect books about folklore monsters now. Like after
my
yokai kick. Yeah. But yeah, we have learned what these are, and we're going to learn kind of like what their role was on this planet later on. But yes, we are there. We are their errand boy. And I think that at one point Trace calls that out, which you should never do.
Errand DJ. Yeah. It is a very annoying to draw a line under something that is a trope.
Yeah.
In a game. It doesn't fix it.
Nope.
So you head up kind of through this tunnel. There's full of these pulsating hearts in the background, which is a cool visual. And you get to this new area, Kerr.
Yeah. You're getting like for the purposes of the notes here, like you can kind of split your time in between these. I am taking us into Kerr to get the high jump for this.
Yeah. I'm just following the notes, even though I'm sure this is not how I actually played.
Right.
So, yeah, just for organization purposes.
Yeah. And Kerr ends up being, it's like Rocky, almost. And it's very, kind of vertically oriented, as well.
Like Rocky 2.
The one who's always standing up, Rocky Calhoun. No. But the thing that's tricky about this place, the crawler enemies, the ones that just kind of circle platforms, they get lasers here.
Yes. And the way these work, so they are circling a platform in a Metroid way. If they see you, they shoot a laser out, directly perpendicular from the platform, from where they're at. And you either have to kill them in advance or keep something between you and them, or avoid them, follow them around. And they get in kind of more complicated mix-ups as you work your way up.
And these will break your jump, and that sucks because you will fall a lot if this happens. Yeah.
Yep. A lot of vertical shafts here. Like Shaft 2. As you as you move your way kind of into this room near the top in this pink goo, we get a power up called a field disruptor, which is what gives you higher jumps.
Yeah.
It's one of the very few direct power knockoffs from Metroid. Yeah,
it's such a basic idea. Yeah. I don't know how you would do a twist on suddenly can jump higher.
Yeah.
But with this, we can go back down into Z and kind of more thoroughly explore it here. And it gets more like technical again once you get through the growth. I really like that there's just a strata on the map where the fungus grows. Yeah. Down here you get a Bioflux accelerator. This causes mutation at max health. This is funny. It feels like a call out to Bioshock. Yeah. Because like you just find a syringe in the middle of the room, and Elsa Nova says, "Oh, go ahead and do this. It has tiny blood machines like in your mind." Trace doesn't want to inject it because he found a syringe in a room, but like it's kind of a MacGuffin. Elsa Nova says, "Hey, if we're not going to do this directly, I can just like reconfigure your blood in order to give you the effect anyway." Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And this ends up, so when you're at full health, you get little tentacles that come out of your shoulders that shoot in a straight line.
Yep.
I ended up finding this pretty useless. Like I was excited for the idea of this, but I was so rarely at full health. And I so rarely shooting directly in front of me.
Yeah.
And
because
it helped me out with a couple bosses, but
because it shoots projectiles that in an Axiom Verge game, they do no damage really.
Yeah. It's weird. Like Elsinora was really talking this up. It's like, you will like it. When you're having the discussion with her about like not wanting to just inject strange goo into yourself, like she's like, no, you'll find this useful. And I'm like, actually, I want that. This is like everybody who told me that I'd be using advanced algebra every day.
Yeah. I do like when you get the second version of this that basically turns you into Dr. Octopus. You get 4 tentacles that come out of your shoulders.
I like that.
Yeah, but it's
tentacles come out my shoulders.
It's not necessarily much more powerful.
Useful. It's just like flavor. Yeah. Kind of neat looking. If it didn't just only work when you had full health, I think it would be a lot stronger.
Yeah.
And more useful. And the game does not feel designed to keep me at full health.
No.
Like there are too many minis that rush me and do, even when I have quite a bit of health reserves and they do small amounts of damage, that's still enough to fuck up my my shoulder.
It feels like something that would actually be a big leg up if you were trying to speed run this. Like if you were already avoiding as much damage as possible, and the extra projectiles, basically doubling or tripling the number of projectiles you can put out, I can see that making a big difference. But for the way that I play, like it didn't hurt, but it also didn't feel like a huge step forward, like a lot of the upgrades do.
I wonder what the speedrun kind of balances in this game between keeping your health full for DPS versus like damage boosting past stuff.
Don't know.
Yeah. I've never watched a speedrun up.
Neither have
I. So you get up towards the top, and we reach this like really, really huge boss where the screen actually zooms out.
This was disorienting to me, actually.
It's weird. Like you're very small.
Yeah.
During this, it's very tiny, Trace. You turn into baby. Like the drone havers become the drone. and this again is a big bug, which I think really does obfuscate a little bit of the fact that these used to be humans. Like it looks like a grub.
Yeah.
And this is again like a weird kind of rote boss. Like it's kind of cool. You have to do this order of operations to shoot different parts of him. Yeah. While keeping these like 1 tile wide blocks that operate as shields and places to stand. But once I destroyed his first little bit on his back, I could just stand back and jump and shoot.
Yeah.
Is this weird thing. Whereas like if you stand all as far back as you can and jump, I was in no danger of any attacks. Like, and I didn't have to alter my strategy at all. It's very weird.
Yeah, no, like the attack of his that was my Achilles heel was like the mortars that shoot from the bottom, basically from the tail of the grub, and same thing. Once I got those taken care of, everything else was really easy to dodge.
Yeah. I wish I had to dodge. Like by the time I got him to a point I was at, like I didn't need to do anything really, other than just be in a safe position and jump and shoot.
Yeah.
So
like at least there's more to do here, and the platforms themselves, like they are placed very deliberately, and like to understand, okay, this platform is meant for dodging this attack, and this platform is meant for, putting me in position to shoot this particular cannon. Like that is pretty neat, but yeah, it is very rote once you kind of unravel that.
Ends up being a thing where like I kind of respect the idea of bosses that you just have to figure out the order of operations. It's just they always have this feeling of like sitting in a bathtub while it drains while I just do the thing.
Yeah.
Like it makes me want the I get it button.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But eventually you kill him. Yeah. And you get to this room with these 2 holding tanks in the middle. Again, any of these set piece rooms I think look very cool.
Yeah.
And you open up the item in the middle, which is a power filter. And then we get a cutscene, a story cutscene.
Yes. That explains a little bit more. Like this is the first time we've really gotten any answers about what's going on. So like it takes time for the pathogens to be filtered out of her system. There's never been a description. Like nobody has ever said, yeah, there are like germs and stuff around here. This is bad. But we get some of the cosmology here, that there are 2 sides to the universe. There is World Stream, which is basically the physical world that we know. And then Breach, which is kind of like the space between. It is this storm of static that we've kind of seen it encroaching in here. But this, is the storm of static that you cannot pass. We are on Sudra, which is this world that exists to like be a bulwark against the breach.
Yeah. And we learned a little bit about our antagonist here. This man named Thedos, which again, the game really likes to be real clever with the etymology here. Came through the breach. He was this powerful manipulator known as a pattern mind.
Yes.
Is what they call them. We find out Trace is also a pattern mind. He infected the Sudra with this pathogen, leading to all these dead bodies that we've seen.
Right.
And those were the citizens of this place. The Rusalki did survive, but he has trapped them with a breach attractor surrounding the world with breach so nothing could escape, kind of creating a bad atmosphere.
And Thedos' goal, at least as the Rusalki, as Elsa Nova describes right now, is to defeat the Rusalki and get to the rest of World Stream, presumably, for no good, because he committed biological genocide on this, entire planet, right?
Yeah.
And Ophelia, one of Elsa Nova's sisters, she's the one who found me in the breach after the explosion, and then brought me here to stop Thetos. This is not entirely true, but you are being kind of like led on by Elsa Nova right now. Yeah,
they lie to you. Which is basically they're like succubus kind of creatures in mythology. So Trace doesn't buy this. He's suspicious, but there's a thing where, again, the drawing that like, what am I, an errand boy? But then just going and doing it. Him just being like, this seems not right. Well, nevertheless. And then just going and doing everything he's told to do.
Yeah.
Falls a little flat for me.
Right.
So we have to go enable the repair drones in order to fix Ophelia and the other Rusalka and get them back to power.
Right.
And the next room, we get a very meaningful upgrade, the modified lab coat, which allows us to teleport and glitch through narrow walls.
Right.
So 1 tile wide walls.
Love this thing.
Yeah, so now that you have a new jacket, we can head up into Upper Kerr. So you can use this wall phase, you can use this high jump, and you can get up to the surface of the planet, which is cool. Like, this is one of the only places in the game I think has a good sense of place.
Yeah.
I like when you're on the surface of this game. There are cool, weird floating things in the background. There are all these dead trees and like mountains, and it feels real.
Yeah. Yeah. I will always be down for an alien sky.
Yes.
Like, I have no idea what those big spiky balls are, or why some of them are connected to the surface by spires and why some aren't. But it's good.
They're filled with DVD copies of Vanilla Sky.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So there are these armored lizard things up here.
Oh yeah.
That run up to you and then turn around and fart at you. It's a real booger man kind of enemy. Yeah. And you have to use the drill on them.
Yeah, you got to use a laser drill to get through their armor. And even though your laser drill is mounted to a shoulder button, I always forgot to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But these things, they will deny you access to platforms because they dash very quickly and they're quite large.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big boy season.
But you climb up some of these dead trees and you get into another indoor area. And this is where you get probably the most substantial upgrade in the game, I think.
It feels like this should be the iconic upgrade to me.
Yes.
As opposed to the drill or the glitch beam.
Yeah. And
I know this from the trailer for the second one, this remains. Like, they talked about totally new power-ups, and like in the second one you have like melee weapons and boomerangs and shit.
No, weird.
But you still have the drone.
That's good,
because this is neat.
Yeah, this is neat, an incredibly good idea, and it is executed and implemented very well.
Yes. Yeah. Even though I do not like it as a substitute for double jumping. Yeah. Like, when it starts working its way into platforming, I don't like it as much. I like it for circumventing hazards and barriers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this gives you a drone. And you can shoot the drone.
You shoot out basically this little bug that has a very weak projectile and not very much health that you control independently.
Yep. It has offensive capabilities. It shoots a little all-purpose beam that will drill and damage thing. You know? And that's... that's fine. Yeah. There are a couple of points when I have to platform, move around with this guy, I like it. When I have to fight with him, I don't.
Yeah.
He has a limited amount of health, and he will refill his health, but you have to kind of like hang out.
Yeah.
While this happens. We send him out into these little like cave entrances here in order to get this other weapon called the hypo atomizer, which shoots blue bullets that shoot off perpendicular bullets, which is so niche. Yep. Like, you get this right before a boss that is used for, and then like, why on earth would you ever equip this again? Yeah,
it's very unwieldy. And even like the frequency with which it branches off in different directions seems designed specifically for the Scorpion boss for gear tab.
It's very strange.
But like, if you try to use it against a regular enemy, like, you're just going to shoot past the things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very odd.
Blah.
Yeah. And you after you get this, you can go through a little pipe course to unlock an upgrade for the address manipulator, kind of making it just a little bit more powerful. Use the address manipulator 2 to get through this reactor that is substantially glitching. And into this I found this frustrating before I remembered, I can glitch stuff now. This kind of run of platforms that have pools of pink damaging liquid with fish that jump up and down out of them. But you can glitch the water so you can stand on it, and you can glitch the fish so that they don't shoot and that you can jump on top of them.
Yep. And then just it makes it pretty easy.
Yes.
When you get up to it, you get to this new boss, this Scorpion thing. It does not know whether to attack you. So
right.
progress. And you, but it does decide to attack you. This is Gertab, as we mentioned. And this is, again, it's a very weird Axiom Verge style boss where, like, I guess like the puzzle or the gameplay part of this is figuring out where the weak point is, which is under him, which means it's his belly. So you need bullets that shoot under him. You have two weapons that'll do this, the hypo atomizer and your starburst thing. And you just duck and shoot and then jump over bullets of two heights. Like, he has a short run range flamethrower thing. Why would you ever be close to him?
Yeah, you don't need to be close to him.
I don't understand the boss design in this game. Like,
it's very visually intimidating. Like, it's a big sprite and he's made entirely of gun. But like, functionally, like there's never really any reason to like expose yourself to danger to him, specifically because you found the key for his scorpion shaped lock. Yep.
Yeah. The scorpion key in the Spencer mansion.
Yeah.
After you beat him, you ask Elsa Nova about Gertab's reluctance, and this is where you get revealed that the bosses used to be normal humans, but the pathogen turns them into robotic bugs.
Yes. And before, Trace has expressed doubts about whether or not he's infected. You know, that'll come to be a point of discussion later on. But through here, you find another Rusalki. You find Kathrashka. Katrahaska. There we go. And she was a betrayer. She had worked with Athedos and betrayed the other Rusalki. And you're not going to bring her back. Like, Elsa Nova holds a grudge, which we're going to find out very soon.
Yeah, the Rusalka are not, you know, benevolent, enlightened beings.
No.
So you get beyond this, you activate a node, which releases the repair drones, and you can just kind of watch babies spit out of a aperture, you know, like in health class, over and over and over. And now we can go talk to people if we want to. They'll go repair Ophelia. There's also a couple little set pieces where they'll help you fight. There's a couple of rooms where they're hanging out.
Oh, I never noticed that.
I like that quite a bit. Oh yeah, like if you go to their left from here, there'll be there are a few rooms where they're around, and they will always help you.
Yeah, I saw them hanging around, but I never saw them like do combat.
Oh yeah, and they're powerful, but they also die. Like, it's neat. It's like procedural.
Nice.
Not procedural. It's like a systems-based thing.
Yeah,
emergent. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah. So you can head down and talk to Ophelia, or you can go upward, get outside again, and start messing around and looking for things. You're going to want to do this because Axiom Verge is a grappling hook game. You go high enough in the mountains that it starts snowing, which is really cool. Again, a sense of place. Later, we're going to start going so high that we see the breach up and around, which is cool. But up here, you can kind of fall into a big pit, and really all that you can do is send a drone out to get a new upgrade, the grapple.
No, the grappling hook in this game, I think, is strange. Like, it's not bad. It is really. I don't know if this could just be me, right? Did you find this like weirdly like locked into 8 directions?
Yeah, it was less the directionality of it that bothered me, but it was like the timing was very different. I never felt like I could do like a big swing and reliably latch onto a ceiling. It felt like I always had to be able, like I always had to do very quick short swings where I never went too far away from the ceiling. I never got the timing down. Yeah.
For me, the reason why is it felt like instead of swinging in kind of a smooth arc, I was like quantized to the 8 directions.
Yeah.
You know, and you always say 8 cardinal directions, but that's exactly not what that means. So
we're in other dimensions. It's fine.
It was just, the cardinal directions are different here. But yeah, it was just really, really strange. Like, I didn't know why I didn't move smoothly. With it. Like, there are a couple of parts where I like the grappling hook and ended up being okay, even though it's tied into some, like, you know, do this right or fall all the way down a mountain and try again getting over it shit.
Yeah, the areas where you have to mix it up with drilling and sending out a drone, it's kind of a real bummer.
None of the controls don't support it.
Yeah.
Like, it is not smooth enough for that.
Yeah. Additionally, like, so it is obviously aping Bionic Commando, right? Bionic Commando, like, by default, if you're not pressing anything, like it will shoot out in a diagonal in front of you. That's not the case here, actually. Like, you actually have to, like, you know, dial it in so that it will go in that direction. And I think that that's kind of just a field concern more than anything.
Yeah.
And that's why one of the reasons why Bionic Commando feels good and this doesn't necessarily feel as good as that.
In the swinging, specifically.
Yes, in the swinging,
you know, or to me, you know, it doesn't feel as good as the swinging in Super Metroid either. Right. Just to be a parody of myself, which you can't do on as many surfaces, right? Like that's a much more limited swing.
Yeah.
But,
Yep. Yeah. But it's meaningful. And I don't know. I was real happy to get a grappling hook, even if it was kind of limited. Yeah.
Yeah. It's you know, it's interesting.
Yeah.
It has potential. It's the execution. It's the same thing with the platforming that does with the drone teleport. Like, I think that's interesting. It just never felt very good in my hands.
Yeah. You get an enhancer for the drone launch. Let's let you shoot it even further. Basically, this leads to a bunch of like secrets where you would have no reason to shoot a drone in that direction that far, but it will hit a wall and like there will be a little like ledge for you to deploy it onto, stuff like that. You're doing an awful lot of like not leaps of faith, but launches of faith.
Yeah. Especially like this will serve you if you're trying to do like a Symphony of the Night style, get as much percentage of the map as possible. You know? Yeah. And then you eventually get with this drone, you do a little drone course in order to get the reflector, which is a weapon, which projectiles bounce off the walls.
This was good. I liked this quite a bit.
Yeah, I didn't find a use case for it, but I didn't hate it. It wasn't like one of the weapons that only has like one use.
It was real predictable, and I liked doing like the angle math on it. Like I got a good sense of it by feel.
Yeah, I could see it. For me, it was just like not enough damage.
Yeah,
you know, like the Kilver was still what was killing things in a reasonable number of hits.
Yeah,
for me,
I hear that.
Yeah. So you drop all the way down to Z, and we can speak with this new Rusalki named Veruska, who's awake now, but she speaks in this kind of nonsense, like how they're both predators.
Yeah.
We don't know exactly what she means, and Elsa Nova cuts it off and says she's a dreamer and maker of mind worlds, which should be your first hint that nothing is real and nothing will be real from now on because it's all simulation, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So you can send your drone up and above and past Veruska to get some other stuff. This is where you get the your first translation, which is just a straight up cipher, and the passcode tool as well.
Yeah, and so you can put in those passcodes, which is all optional, just as a thing. Like there's no point in which you have to put in passcodes. So we head through the left of Kerr, and we can use our grapple to get this new area called Indy. And as we're going through here, we step on a Rusalki head, which is our fast travel. Yeah. It's just ahead. One of the lore notes I got in this actually talked about this, how this was like told me something about her. I'm trying to remember. But she's a character. Yeah. Not a character like Rodney Dangerfield.
Like a Ricard.
Yeah. Not like an uncle at a wedding. Like she's a character, like, you know, she's a named head.
Yeah. She wasn't always conveyance.
Yeah. She wasn't always a taxi.
Yeah.
So this gives you your kind of fast travel, which is this horizontal line across the map.
Right.
Here, which I just really wish that I had bonfire teleports. This is cool and flavorful, but I don't know. Like it wasn't as convenient as I wanted it to be.
Yeah. I like the idea of a head bug highway,
sure,
but it was not functional.
Yeah. And it also being constrained to that actual x-axis made it feel a little different than the bug highway in Hollow Knight.
Yeah.
Which functions in kind of a similar way, but it's not constrained to the map.
Yeah.
Like as much. You basically you go back into the background, teleport to a new area, and it can be on a different z-axis or a different y-axis. And I think that's stronger.
Yeah. Agreed.
To me.
Yeah. I just like I was hungry for fast travel by this point because like you've traveled like to, you know, pretty much every extreme of the map except straight up at this point. And you know, like I wanted to compress that space a little bit, and it didn't necessarily happen the way I would like it to. So you can go in, you can clean up a Rebu. You can get through a formerly locked door and get an upgrade for the disruptor. This turns it into a spread gun. This is not as meaningful of an upgrade as I had hoped, actually. just because limited range, and like the limit on the range and kind of the spread of it made it feel like a worse version of the Kilver that couldn't go through walls.
Yeah. It just didn't do enough damage. Like it's very similar to the burst thing, where it's like I'm hitting with 3 bullets, but I don't feel like I'm doing 3 times the damage of this. Like that. It's funny, like going through this and talking about it, that like could be my number one problem with this game. Which is a weird thing because it's just numbers, right? But like in order to, and again, point of the podcast 2019, in order to drive the exploration economy, they needed to have enough power-ups, enough like just literal items of interest. In order to have enough items of interest, they need to split those items of interest into 6-parters, to make your damage upgrades. As a knock-on effect of that, you need to have very low starting damage for every weapon.
Right.
And that combination, like, yes, this might end up feeling balanced and good once you've collected all of those, but the road there, like, it doesn't.
Yeah, you're spending a lot of time in something that does not necessarily feel very good.
And one of the precepts of the show is it matters how you spend your time, and it matters what the early game is. Yeah, it's not just a thing where it's like, oh yeah, like eventually you get past, like, oh yeah, Navi eventually shuts up, and it's like, well. I'm 6 hours in now though, and she hasn't. Yeah. Like that's 6 hours. Like it's still a long time to have a little word flashing on your screen that just goes Navi, 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 Navi. And that's just it matters. Like yes, you can get past it, but it still matters. So so you move to a new area here called Ukin-Na with the address manipulator.
Right. And this is preceded by something that is very strange. You see what appears to be run through a door, and Elsa Nova says, "Oh, I didn't see that. Just ignore it." Basically. Yeah. Yep. We're in the trippy part. So as we continue through this, the graphics start getting kind of wavy, and you start feeling bad. You're feeling feverish. And Elsa Nova says you probably have the pathogen. Oops. Yep. Oops, all pathogen. But if you talk to Ophelia can help. So you have to kind of push through. Right. Yeah. And like you reach what appears to be a small face in the background, and it opens up and says, hey, Ophelia doesn't exist. All of this is a hallucination from the pathogens, and Elsa Nova's lying to you. Yeah. Which is half true. Ophelia, like eventually, the pathogens are causing a hallucination. Some of this stuff probably exists in a general sense. Yeah. And it's a weird thing because this has the cadence of like a cutscene, almost like an interactive cutscene, this trippy segment, but they decided to make it like a challenge zone. It's really hard. I don't know why they did that. Yeah, they specifically have these small, like, flying spiked enemies that take so much to kill. Yeah. Yeah. And then these robed figures that you can't kill, they'll grapple onto you. I just don't know why, again, like, this could have been a gravity gun moment, or just, I'm walking through and I'm learning story from this. I'm having a change of pace to the gameplay. Yeah. And it just didn't do that. A good number of these rooms too are like horizontally oriented stages that have like a bottom area and a top area, and these robed enemies will knock you down, so you have to go all the way to the end and then in order to get back up, and then all the way back over. There's a good amount of just like, fuck you, you're on the ground again, do it again. Pretty frustrating. As you continue through this, you eventually get to, there's a cool moment where you walk into this room with this flying mutant here. It has Trace's face, and you are actually controlling the mutant and the boss. You are not controlling Trace. Yes. And it has this like little interface screw as your hands catch up with what you're seeing, and you realize what you're controlling is the boss, not little tiny Trace. It's really good. At no point is it a challenge. No. Trace is running around taking shots at you. But it never really does enough damage. I don't even think it's possible to die in this. Although, it definitely is, but you don't. The game continues. Yeah. But you just like unload your projectiles until Trace dies. Yeah. Really good. Yeah, pretty clever. I'm not a big fan of Trace going, "Oh crap," just because I don't like that. Like, "Oh crap." Yeah. Okay, buddy. Ah, dang. Yeah, dang it. I'm a big mutant. I'm a ding dang bug now.
Yeah, I've never been appropriately scared during this game. But it's a cool idea.
Yeah.
And again, this is, the other trace that pops in talks like the mutants, it says demon Athetos say kill. Which makes it think that that's the demon and it's released hallucinogenic pathogens or manipulating the pathogens in your mind or something like that. All this is dreamy weemy, no matter time.
Yeah. Oh wait, I was wrong. You can't kill him. He kills you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's been a little while since I played this. So he kills you and a repair drone finds you.
Yeah. I thought you meant you can't, you're right in that you can't die.
Yeah.
The game continues.
Yeah. There's no game over in this.
Yeah. Narratively you die, but yes. In the actual game you don't. Yeah. And you wake up in this trauma ward. We're back in a story zone here, which this is implied to be stuff that happened after the incident that sent you here. You hear, it may be hard to hear, but your injuries are very severe. You may never see or walk again.
Right.
And we learned that Trace survived the blast in the lab, but was blind and could no longer walk. He returned to work after having this epiphany and created this widely derided theory of everything. Yeah. Which was his, basically rethinking physics. Like everything you know about physics is wrong. This is real physics now.
Yes. The reality of the world has been laid bare to me as a result of this lab explosion. And Trace turned into this infamous crank. And, like scientists do, they gave him a nickname. Yeah. They called him Athetos, which is, I think, Greek for without place.
Yeah, because everybody's got a weird heart on for that in this game.
Yeah.
For just, clever nicknames.
We'll call you Cosmos.
Exactly. I am called Ham.
Yep.
Because I enjoy ham radio. We don't do this to Elon Musk. We don't do this to people who suck in real life. We just call them assholes.
Yeah.
They should have just been like, hey, asshole.
Yeah.
So this is where the memories end. And you, so you now know that you're actually Athetos.
Right.
Or connected to Athetos. And Elsa Nova knows this, but she doesn't think that you know this. You found this out through getting hurt.
Right. So there's a little bit of dramatic irony between all of you. Yes. And Trace wakes up in front of Ophelia. And Ophelia kind of explains, hey, we brought you here because you're a pattern mind, just like Athetos was. And you can resist the pathogen and use Athetos as weapons. This is why we sought you out, to solve this problem that we have here.
Yes. Yep. So they say, the plan remains unchanged. You still have to go kill Athetos. The breach attractor are above you. They're bad. If you destroy them, you can go home. So they're kind of strong arming you.
Yeah.
Travel back through Ukana, which is different now that you're not hallucinating, and find a trench coat that allows you to double tap in a direction to teleport.
Yeah.
As opposed to push up against a small wall.
This feels good. I love the way this looks too, because you leave a little phase trail behind you when you do it. And this is a very efficient way to go through breakable squares as well.
Yes. Yeah. You leave a little damaging fart cloud behind you. I don't think it feels good. I don't like double tapping.
Right.
For it. I really wanted this to be a button.
Yeah, I wish it was.
But it looks nice.
Better. Yeah.
Yeah. It feels nice in terms of kinesthetics and sound and or not so much kinesthetics, sound effects and stuff. But I wish that I could just tap a button.
Agreed.
This allows you to go to a new area called Eden, which is a relatively peaceful area, even though it does have a lot of glitching around.
Yeah.
And this has these dive bombing fireflies that do a ridiculous amount of damage to you, are really hard to hit, and take 1 million shots to kill.
Yeah, these things suck. Yeah, I don't like these a lot.
Why?
Yeah. And just they're so fast. They come right at you. There's nothing that can stop them. I had a lot. This is where I
died the most.
I had a lot of trouble with this, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. The flower bugs weren't necessarily that big of a deal in this, even though they were a bit bigger. Just the fireflies, man, there's like it feels like they put it in like, so you've been hiding behind walls now, huh? Guess what? Here
you haven't given me another tool.
Yeah, it's been the best way.
You can't. It's like Dead Cells. Like, you can't get mad at me for using the thing that was the most efficient way to get through the game.
Yeah. Like, and it's a little bit of a dick move. I can't think of another way to describe it, to very severely slap me for doing it now, when there were probably plenty of ways to like gradually discourage it earlier.
Yes. Gentle slaps.
Yeah. Like, force me to adapt to using other things, by adding friction to using this kind of exploitative, moveset, right? As opposed to just kind of like, you're going to hit this wall and you're going to have to do a bunch of tries to get around this. I died a lot here as well.
Yeah. This was my biggest death hole.
Yes.
I did not care for this, even though aesthetically it's a cool looking area.
Yeah. Like, you're in some ruins. It looks kind of like a Sonic 2 level. Yep.
In the background.
Lots
it's got
of
a real
plinths.
Sega. Yeah. It's got a real Sega zone.
Yeah. Yeah. So you get to a room with some of these resurrection eggs. They're kind of similar to the ones that you've been waking up in, but they're all.
Before we get to that, the hallway with the zombies that pop out from the ground.
Oh my god, yeah.
What are you supposed to do about that?
So what I ended up doing was just crouching and pixel edging forward.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, just waiting for them to come, and because the outside area was so hard, like I would get here and I would just do something that would spawn one of them, and they would immediately kill me, and I'd have to go do everything again.
Yep, I was very low on health.
Yeah,
by the time I got through this.
The bonfire is right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Blah. No, I agree. This area is no good.
Mm-hmm.
Now we are in the resurrection egg that is all gummed up with people goo, with person goo. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Yeah. And you clear one of these out, and this monster with his face growls at you.
Mm-hmm. With your face. Like, it is not completed the process of turning into a full-on variant. And I think it's Elsa Nova who says, "Hey Trace, that's an aborted clone of Athedos," which is like, are you trying to make this as obvious as possible? I've already figured it out, and it's getting really hard to keep pretending that I haven't already figured it out.
There's a weird like the semiotics of guilt that come through in this game as far as a clone, because to me a clone is coded in fiction as something that is disposable.
Yeah.
And the idea that Trace has kind of hemmed and hawed over killing a clone.
Yeah.
Like, continuously in this, like, it rang a little bit weird to me. Like, and it made me think, like, would I care about killing a clone of myself? Like, probably not that much if it was a monster bug.
What's the name of that other indie platformer that is all about making clones of yourself that are disposable?
Oh, yes, that is called... why can't I remember that? I know which one you're talking about, though. It's like a puzzle platformer.
Yeah. Make clones of yourself.
Clone.
This is going to kill me.
Home a clone.
The swapper.
The swapper. There we go. Yeah. That's why I couldn't remember it, because it's got the dumbest fucking name. The swapper. It's got a mob.
Hey, I'm swapping here.
Yeah, I'm swapping here. But like, I just don't care about, like, they managed to sell the humanity of that and like the prestige.
Yeah.
By showing the clones die a painful death and having it be in the service of like petty revenge and entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Here, though, they're giant bug monsters that are trying to kill me. Like, I don't have any moral confliction about killing as many clones of Athedos as you send at me, whether they have my face or not, if they're made out of bugs and they're trying to kill me.
Yeah. It's the trying to kill me thing that takes a lot of the sorrow out of it, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, here the clone is pathetic, but we're pretty far in. Like, we have crossed a couple of lines so far.
Yeah. And they just don't feel like real lines to me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a sense of grounding for the humanity of anything in this world. So why should I, like, as a player, why should I care about the pain and suffering of any of these beings, or their cares or wants or motivations or anything like that? Like, the Rusalka are coded specifically as alien.
Yeah.
You know, which has a very like intense distancing effect on pulling my heartstrings in this game.
And your point of view character doesn't react to anything. You know, it is a real thing in any kind of media. Like, the point of view character, or like the, you know, people in the scene, the way they react informs the way that you as the observer will react.
Yes.
The same line will land differently if somebody in the scene laughs at it versus like gets really angry or sad. Like the cutaway is what matters here. And Trace is, you know, like even more distant from what's going on than the Rusalki, it feels like.
Yeah. He is, you know, we talked about that when we talked about like horror movies before. We talked about like Hereditary, like where people in Hereditary are like the kid, you know, the son in Hereditary is terrified about what's happening. And that does a lot to sell the horror of the game, or of the show, of the movie.
Yep. There you go. The third trash trap.
Got it in 3. Okay, hey, got it in 3. But here, I had a very hard time. So it kind of contributes to this leaving me cold and specifically feeling a little heartless. In terms of like the stakes of the story. Like, there's some kind of clever, like, you know, dreamy time loopy stuff. That happens at the end. But I don't care what happens to any of the people.
Right.
I don't care about the world. I don't really care about, like, characters tell me that I should care about it. But there's nothing that's, you know, I'm told that this is a clone and I should be sad about it. I'm told that Athedos was justified because he's trying to make advances in science. I don't feel it at all. Yeah.
And it definitely, like, it feels like a whiff, right? It feels like, you know, to this, like, there's a big swing at horror because, like, the part of this that takes effort, they nailed. Right. Or he nailed, which is the design of things. And, you know, your mileage may vary, but the atmosphere as well. Right. Like the things that you're fighting are very alienating and, you know, off-putting. The things that are ostensibly on your side, they're not recognizable as living beings, and they don't seem to consider you to be all that important either. Like, there's so much about the situation and the things that you're put up against that are coded as very, very effective horror. To have that undercut by your character's nonchalant reactions when, like, you could literally just cut that away. Like, have him speak less and it would, you know, like, okay, my reaction to this suffices. It's actually really disappointing.
Words. Like, you need less words in your game than you think.
Yeah, you need fewer words, and those words have to be better.
Yep, they just have to be better, you know? Like, it's interesting, you know, is in the Slack, and we were talking about, you know, I was just slacking around before this and stuff, and it is good. You know, I have a reputation for being grumpy, and I have a reputation for not liking anime influenced things, both of which are earned. I think that one thing that I have a reputation about that's not earned, though, is disliking wordy things. You know, because my you know, favorite games are like Deus Ex and Torment, which are wordy as hell. And it's not just like anime inspired things that have limp prose. Like, something could be like this, which is not very anime at all, and have incredibly limp prose. You know, it's not, I'm not the crazy one here. God damn it. Like, sometimes writing is just bad. You know,
and like, you can, you know, if you as an individual person can choose to look past it and not feel it, you know, Godspeed.
I'm so jealous of people who can just not see things in games. Like, when, you know, I talked to Will, and Will talks about playing, like, you know, visual novels and stuff. He's like, yeah, when I see the horny stuff, it just looks like static to me. And I'm like, how do you fucking do that? Like, how are you ignoring tits being thrown into your face? I got to bring you to a strip club so you can, like, be invisible and we can rob it or something. Like, I don't understand how you can just not see the fact that, like, oh, this is trying to tug at your dick. Like, I can't not see what the game is trying to do, and it's very frustrating to me.
I'm closer to Will than you in that regard, but it's something I can turn on and turn off. You know, just like if I'm playing something for a show versus if I'm just playing something, you know, if I'm just playing something for me, you know, this one's for daddy. I don't know. It's tricky.
So it is indeed very tricky. So So moving on, we do this little fake boss fight where we just have to shoot the inert clone. And afterwards, you have some more exposition where you talk to Elsinova. You know, you admit that you know that you're a Thedos.
Right.
And they basically kind of come clean.
Yeah. They say, like, okay, well, you would be a Thedos if you continued without our intervention.
Yes.
Right.
Which gives us the, like, you know, it's a time loop story kind of feel to it, even though it's not exactly that. You know, Thedos wrecked the planet. You know, came there before once at the age where he was at and used the rebirth chamber. So you are kind of a Soma-esque copy.
Yes.
Of a Thedos.
You have never been like like this particular collection of molecules has never been on Earth. But like you are just, you know, picking up in a continuity of memory from the first time that a Thedos came.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And we learn, you know, again, some kind of more backstory. Thedos was changed by years spent in the breach. And you're like, well, I want to talk to him. He's me. I want to get the side of the story. And Elsinova was like, no, and kills you, which to me was the first and maybe only moment in this game where I like that kind of came alive for me.
Yes.
That feeling. I thought that was cool. Like, I was like, oh shit. Like that's,
like,
you know, that's a thing.
It's a kill switch. She could do this at any time and she is mandating compliance.
Yes. I like that. It eventually, they walk it back. Like she literally apologizes for the coolest thing that happens in this game, which is like not a great sign, but I do like that as a concept.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
Same.
So, yeah.
So Ophelia wakes you back up and she's going to be your handler while Elsinova goes and just punches some walls. Yeah,
basically is Paul Rudd like cleaning up the cafeteria in the American summer, like pouts. Because these are petty beings.
Yes. You know, Ophelia will try and talk Elsinova into letting you not kill a Thedos. Like Elsinova kind of has a point. Like, yes, a Thedos did kill everybody. She is punishing you as if you are a Thedos, like that you have done all this, and that's the disconnect. I think that Trace is kind of in the wrong for not wanting to kill the person who committed this genocide.
Yeah,
but
agreed. Yeah. People sometimes feel like people got to go. You know. So you drop into this huge chamber, and there are all these like hulks in the background. Again, whenever I do stuff with scale like this, it's pretty cool. And Ophelia tells you these are the true bodies of the Rusalki. Like you're just seeing their heads, but they have these bodies. They've been disconnected.
Yes.
There's a little bit of back and forth. You talk about like connecting them, and like we don't really need to do that now. Like we have access to the drones and stuff.
Yeah.
Or beyond that. And we pick up the address bomb, which is kind of your super bomb here. It acts as a function. It does the same thing as the address disruptor, except it's more powerful. But it has its own ammo meter. Yeah.
This thing sucks because, you know, you only ever need to use this. And, you know, like 3-4 times maybe at most. So you're never going to be like running out of ammo for it. At least I never did. Like I was never using this in combat. Right.
No.
And regardless of how infrequently you use this, it replaces what feels like half of your what used to be health pickups with ammo for this, which means that you get a power up that makes the game more difficult. Yeah, because I can't imagine playing this using the bomb as much as they think you're going to use it. It takes a long time to go. Near the bomb, like it's not something you drop in combat. Like it takes a while to go. It can effectively disrupt the room. You know, so if you are, you know, it's efficient in that respect. But yeah, you're right. Like getting bomb pickups was a consistent bummer. Yeah. You know, and I don't understand why this was limited based on that as opposed to like a charge. Yeah. Or just don't limit it at all because it's not that powerful. Like just, you know, it's limited by the fact that it takes a long time to go off. But if I'm spamming this, it doesn't do damage. Right. You know, so yeah. Yeah, it almost feels like it was specifically done to make the game harder after this point. Yes. Yeah, it's a bummer. Yeah. So we can use this and go through the upper portion of Eden, you know, where we get to these little motes of light that charge and do damage over time, kind of like Metroids that hover all around you. You just have to phase through them. There's a boss up here. This is my least favorite boss in the game.
The wasp.
Yep, Uku.
Yeah, this thing sucks.
Yeah.
This is horrible. And like,
is really
I'm supposed
bad.
to feel bad for this? This is a clone?
Yeah.
It's a wasp.
There's no, even Trey says, like, man, there's nothing human about this.
Yeah, this is a wasp. I fight wasps in real life. Like, I don't need this. And it's really, really like the bad intersection of hard to hit and hard to damage.
Yeah.
And hard to avoid attacks.
Yeah, hard to avoid attacks. This for me was straight up just a DPS. A DPS rush. I got so frustrated with this that I actually went and looked at a guide, and they said, "Oh, what you need to do is glitch his little options and then shoot them when they get near him because they turn into explosives." And that'll do enough damage. I could so you glitch those things and you have to kind of hope that they vaguely move toward the main boss body. They won't always. And meanwhile, this thing is shooting at you quicker than anything else. So I just didn't do what the guide told me to do. And I was like, I just need to do as much damage as possible to this thing in as little amount of a time.
Yeah, I did not have the health reserves to do that kind of strategy.
No.
Like that would work in a Super Metroid. It would not work here when I cannot take that many hits.
Same. And I was being really thorough with this. I think I ended this with 90% map discovery and 80% item discovery.
Mm-hmm. Which, pretty good.
It's quite a bit.
So yeah. This thing sucks.
Yeah.
You get past it to this area and we get the drone teleport, which allows you to shoot your drone and then teleport to where it's at.
Yeah.
This is kind of the ultimate movement upgrade.
I love it so much. It's really good.
I don't like it for platforming. There's a couple of parts where you have to do it for platforming, but I like it for horizontal movement quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. It ended up working a little bit more for me with platforming. There were times there were specific challenge ones where it's you need to shoot this slightly before you reach the apex of your jump, jumping straight up in order to give it the right momentum, and you have to deploy the drone slightly before it reaches its apex to get where it needs to go. There were some specific areas where it required you to understand the far extreme corners of the way the movement worked. But that was never specifically, I don't recall that being strictly necessary for critical path stuff.
No, I don't think that it is.
Yeah. Anything short of that, I ended up being really engaged by using this.
I think it's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
I liked the idea of it.
Yeah.
For sure. So.
Yep. But it's a good, it's a good meaningful upgrade. Mm-hmm. And this lets you go by this clone chamber, glitch some worms so that they burrow away up to a new weapon, which is kind of the next effective replacement for the Kilver. 8 hours later, the distortion field.
Mm.
Yeah.
Which one is this? What does this look like?
So this is the one that fires. It's like a. It's like a flashlight beam that creates a static area that is constantly deployed. It's very short range. It goes through walls, and you don't have to keep on firing it like you do the Kilver. You can just hold it. It's a consistent stream.
The thing that ended up being my ultimate weapon, and I don't know if you got it in the notes, but just my weapon arc at this point, because I didn't find this. Was the whatever the thing was the lightning beam that hit whatever was closest.
Yeah, that one's really good.
Yeah, that was my ultimate weapon. Switching between that and the Kilver.
Yeah,
and mainly because that does not require you to aim.
Yes, no, it's you just straight up fire it and make something near me die now, please.
Yep.
Yeah,
or make something near me die after maybe 10 seconds or so.
Yeah.
Make something near me die of old age.
Yeah, I ended up using that one quite a bit. Although my ultimate weapon for this was the flamethrower.
Yeah, I also did not find that.
Yeah,
but I saw it online.
Yeah, it's good.
So, I believe it.
Yeah. So we can use the drone teleport to go to what is basically a temple for the Rusalki, or the kind of the regular rank and file people here. This is Ikurma. You can go to the top of Kur, the gigantic mountain, and launch yourself into this really obscure door. to get into this. Boy, there are some very tough enemies in here. Those gold flying guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those things suck.
Mm-hmm.
You get through this and you get your only, what I consider, and this is the game's credit, one of the worst things a Metroidvania can do is give you a key.
Yeah, yeah.
Like instead, as opposed to a weapon or upgrade that acts as a key.
Yeah.
This is the only one of those they do.
Right.
And that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's an obnoxious thing to do in a video game. And they give you one here. They give you something called the, what is it called here?
The Sudrin key. The
Sudrin key. This seems confusing. It seems like most of the keys on Sudra would probably be called that. Every time I go to my apartment, I use the Earth key. Yeah. But Elsinova, tells you that you need this key. Trace says, hey, will she apologize for killing me? And Ophelia says that was her apology.
Yeah, like her deciding to talk to you again and say something helpful is the apology.
Yeah, tough girl boss.
Yes. Tsundere. She's so tsundere, Gary.
Yeah, she's so tsundere. I love it. Just, I love it.
Oh.
It's such a good quality for a character.
I know.
You don't really need to come up with other ones. Just use that one. It works. Put one in everything.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, but this place is just loaded with these basically flying battleships. And they really chew through a lot of your health.
They're extremely tough.
Yeah, like with these guys, I was really just kind of like falling into the strategy that you described earlier of trying my hardest to get them on the other side of walls.
Yeah. Or trying to just get past them.
Yeah.
This is probably the first part where I meaningfully was trying to run past things.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the enemies do not allow for it. But I was trying.
Yeah.
I was trying. Did not want to fight them.
No.
So eventually you dig through this rock to get to the Sudrin key. And now a couple doors are open. You descend down this vertical tunnel here, passing through a couple different biomes, making this new kind of bottom here that you can make your way to with the key and get the red trench coat, which allows you to do a longer, better teleport.
Yes. This is the one that lets you damage things in your path. And it's kind of the apex of that particular power up line.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. And we don't have to do all this stuff here. Like I just made note of the random cleanup things that I did, like doing some of the passcode kind of enemies or the passcode deciphering and things like that, getting things like the ion beam, the tethered charge, the quantum variegator.
Yep, they all have Nouni names.
Yes. Yeah. The Vorange, which along with the Kilver seems like that is specifically him just making made up words that rhyme with unrhymable words.
Yeah. That's his stated intent.
Yes.
With those things. Yeah. Even though I think door hinge, which is a compound word, basically rhymes with orange. A
little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of a turns out thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But you just kind of scoot around picking up stuff. You don't have to. Like the end boss of this is not so hard. I found that you have to do this. Just do it if you want to. Mm-hmm. I was pretty eyes on the prize at this point.
Yeah.
Because they just pumped a bunch of challenge hallways at me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So the way forward is ultimately back at the top of Uken-Na. Again, the area where you have your little trip. And this is where you actually find a fully repaired Elsinova. And she didn't tell you before, but she was a gigantic, colossal skeletal serpent.
She's made of imps. She's made of chimps. She's a snake lady. All right.
Okay, cool. I haven't responded. I haven't reacted to anything else. So my best friend is a mechanical snake. Cool.
And she comes around. She's like, listen, I understand that you guys are not the same. I just need you to shut off the breach attractor. You don't have to kill Athedos.
Right.
It's weird, like the fact that she keeps lying and going back and forth on this.
Yeah.
Like I think this dialogue bit undercuts the fact that she ultimately betrays this. A little bit and just makes Trace look like an idiot.
I mean,
like you don't have to believe everything that they say.
It's not hard to make Trace look like an idiot.
Yeah. Trace sucks. So we're going up to Maruru. Not that lovable cat. Instead, the final zone.
Yes.
this.
You go, behind Elsa Nova and up what she calls an elevator shaft, but it's really just, a long series of doing teleport jumps and things like that. And you're going so high up, like you are leaving the atmosphere. Things are covered with ice because, you're far enough away from the planet. And just like the total extremity of what's going on is getting clear. There's a room with this gigantic robot hanging from the ceiling. And it kind of just shoots some of these wiggly, erratic projectiles. It's like a mini boss more than anything.
Yeah. This is the one where you can ignore it, right?
I think so. Yeah. Is that the Sentinel? Maybe.
Nah, I didn't think it was called that. There's no. This is the one after this.
Right.
Onto it. The Zeter Hurl, the better Zeter.
Yeah.
So, where like it's very weird. Like for this whole game that kind of plays, a little like they look like monsters to you. Mm-hmm. Like you've been killing innocents this whole time. This is the first time where you'd be like, well, I could just leave.
Yeah. This is you claiming to be a Thedos, and it kind of doesn't work, but the door behind it isn't locked. Yeah.
You say like, well, it's worth a try. Well, that just happened. I was watching an all bosses no damage thing to remind myself what these bosses were, since all their names are just word letters. And the guy before this, that mini boss that shoots the wiggly projectiles, is a huge pain in the ass for an all bosses run, because he does an attack that is impossible to avoid even for these master players. So they just leave the room and come back and start the fight over and hope that he doesn't do it.
Oh, weird. That doesn't sound fun.
No, it's frustrating. I did not fight the Zeter Hurl. As far as I know, there's no consequence to letting it live or killing it.
And
you don't get XP for killing it, so there's no reason to do it. We get to the top of Mara Uru, and we find a Thedos suspended in a tank. He looks like a Morton Joe.
Oh, yeah.
And you have your exposition. We talk. We say like, hey, did you release the pathogen intentionally? We did, because the Sudrans had fallen from their technological peak and were keeping world-changing secrets sequestered out of superstition. And I just, again, like, am I supposed to care about that? Like, is that a cool theme for something? Is this a good motivation for a villain?
So like Thedos, he wanted to take the Sudran secrets back to Earth because he saw that it would be, just a sea change for mankind, but the Sudrans would not hand it over. So like he has good intentions for it, but I don't, it's really hard to like see that as being sympathetic because of what he did.
I think that part of maybe some of my failure to connect with this is my lack of kind of reverence for science. Like this villain seems very motivated by.
Wait, you don't fucking love science?
I don't. I didn't. My lack of presence on the Facebook page says it all. I just, I think science is good. Obviously, like I'm not against science. I don't find it like a motivation to do horrible things. I don't think it's a good idea to like, I don't know, kill a whole world. So we can get advancements in science. Like I feel like this is kind of presented as, something that there's an argument for both sides, but it just seems like a villainous thing to do.
And sure, like this is one of the times where Trace actually reacts like he ought to. All that he was doing, he was like, hey, I'm going to give you a chance not to get shot by me. And Thedos just kind of proves that he's a self-righteous jerk. Like, so it's kind of weird because he is making his case, but he is doing it incredibly ineffectively.
It's pretty strange. So you do the boss fight, start a boss fight here. Thedos summons these little attack pods, which are the real boss. There's 3 of them and they'll attack you. What you need to do is disable the breach attractor. You shoot this blue panel in the ceiling, and every time you disable it, Elsa Nova flies up next to you and zaps Thedos with a laser.
There was a little bit more exposition about this, like explaining like what the Rusalki are. Like they're war machines, and Thedos put up the breach attractor because even though he killed the kind of rank and file people of Sudra, if he didn't do this, then the Rusalki would go and destroy Earth.
Yes.
So like, and we are getting a demonstration by creating an opening for Elsa Nova to attack him of like kind of what Athedos was afraid of. Although, he wouldn't have had to be afraid of that if he didn't try to
just mind your own fucking business.
If he didn't kill everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking scientists.
Yeah.
I
mean, so like this is like a Contra boss where you're fighting the room more than anything.
Yeah. Yeah. These three chuckle fucks are like basically what you're fighting.
Yeah.
And, if you're running low on health, they have a really good chance to drop health.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, you just don't want to focus on them. You want to focus on the panel in the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
And after Elsa Nova blasts him a bunch of times, Athedos dies.
Yes.
Athedos says there's only one thing left to do, and then she kills him, and you don't stop her. And then she's like, no, I said I wouldn't do that, but he had to go.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. She says she will send you home. And you're like, well, there's nothing really left to me because I'm a clone of a mass murderer.
Right.
And again, I don't resonate with that emotionally.
No.
Like if I was still me and I found out I was a clone of a mass murderer, who gives a shit?
Yeah. That's like saying, okay, there is a version of Cole who in an alternate universe 20 years from now will, commit a crime. That doesn't make me now.
Yes.
Like it's a real Soma problem.
What is the genetic determinism angle of this game?
Uh-huh.
Like what is it trying to say for that? And then we end up in this twist pile up.
Yeah.
Here.
I'm unclear. Like I know what each of these individual things is trying to convey to me, but I do not know what it all adds up to put together.
Yeah, I also don't know.
Yeah.
So like you wake up in your unexploded lab, like nothing has happened.
Mm-hmm.
And you leave your job and now that you know about this other world, you're living in existential dread.
Right.
So you start researching the Sudra to get back there. Mm-hmm. So to me, that seems like, it's a time loop.
Right, right.
This is what happened to Athedos.
You will always be Athedos.
Yeah. You'll always be Athedos. However, credits roll. The camera follows down, to see a Rusalki body. And we see Trace's body on the ground. We know one of the Rusalki can craft mind dreams.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably just trapping you in that thing.
Right.
But if you get 100%, you get to see a scene after this where Athedos shows up in your lab, says it's time to wake up and shoots you in the head. Which to me, the only thing that can suggest. So what I think is happening is like,
mm-hmm.
You didn't go back to Earth. You just got stuck in a matrix pod or whatever,
mm-hmm.
where you're imagining going back to Earth. And Athedos coming back to life to shoot you in the head as you wake, shaking off the Rusalka control.
Right.
Or whatever. Setting up a sequel where you fight the Rusalka, which I don't want to play at all. I don't have any interest in that at all. I'm really glad that the sequel is just totally, same basic aesthetics and stuff, but absolutely new story.
Yeah.
Because I do not care about Trace and I do not care about Athedos and I don't care about the stakes.
Yeah.
And I had a very hard time emotionally connecting to the plot of this game.
Yeah.
It's Axiom Verge, baby.
It's hard to know because I feel like I respond to this well aesthetically, right? And that is a triumph, and it's very difficult to take that away from this, you mm-hmm. know? But go back and listen to my, kind of explanation for why Trace's lack of appropriate reactions really, really undercuts this game's function as a horror story,
mm-hmm.
and you can kind of see like, I'm disappointed with this, setting the play aside, which I thought the play was fine, accepting some of the problems I laid out. Like, if this is largely to be seen as like an aesthetic triumph, it's hard not to factor the story in there. And it's hard not to really, get bummed out by how much this steps on rakes, by how much it gets in its own way. And that's it's really disappointing, that it ultimately ends up, sabotaging itself.
It actually, like any of these kind of some of these like very small team or single person games like this always end up making me think that there's a reason why collaboration exists.
Yeah.
And I've always, I'm like generally a little bit like irritated, with auteur theory in general.
Yeah.
But with this, like, the guy who made this had a greater command than you would think of many aspects of what this needed.
Yes.
But really having somebody else come in there and be like, help with the narrative and help with some of the moment to moment, like writing and dialogue.
Yeah. It's like, oh, hey, this doesn't land, but like they would take a minimal investment to make it land better. Yeah.
Yeah. And as somebody, absolutely. And like as somebody who I think is obviously clearly a huge fan of the games this is influenced by, it makes me think, like, are you not a huge fan of the way those games tell their stories?
Right.
Like, were you like somebody who loved Metroid, but didn't like that you were directionless and didn't have the context for where you were, which is bizarre to me.
Yeah.
Like the idea of somebody being way into Metroid and Super Metroid, but not picking up those games' greatest strength is very strange to me. And this story being a thing where it's like, if that's not the case, if that was not what he wanted, then this story was something he wanted to tell enough to sacrifice that.
Yeah.
And I do not think this story warrants that. I don't think it's very good.
It wasn't worth the cost.
No. Yeah. Like in the moment, I had fun figuring out how all of these power-ups worked. Getting a new movement upgrade was a genuine joy because they're very creative. And like, as somebody who cares about game design stuff, like I'm like, this is a neat fucking idea.
Yeah.
A lot of these ideas you could make the swapper out of. Like you could do a puzzle platformer based around the drone teleport, like the drone upgrades in this game, and make like a pretty good, like more modest, but like a pretty fun game. That's a core mechanic right there. But as a gestalt, like as something that hangs together, this ended up leaving me feeling pretty cold.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Had some fun.
It's like, I enjoyed my time with it. I didn't resent it in the moment, but like looking back at it and trying to put it all together, yeah, it does kind of come up short, if you are, kind of like just trying to add it up. Yeah.
Yeah. There's that thing, again, like an axiom of the network where it's like things that get worse the more you think about them versus things that get better the more you think about them. And this was something that examining it didn't do it tons of favors for me.
Yeah.
So it's all right.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Nicholas. Next week. So if you have anything to say about Axiom Verge or Valda's story of Ocarina of Time, by the time you hear this, especially on early release, it is not too late.
Yes.
Go to Duckfeed.tv/contact.
Yeah. When you write in, please do one response per game. That is easier for us to manage than kind of big responses that incorporate all of them. Additionally, we are looking for things that are relatively brief and very specific is often what we are looking for. Specific things in the game that either specific things in the game that really worked for you or didn't work for you, or specific stories about your experience with it.
Not looking to, not because I don't think they'd be good, but just don't want to read 20 reviews of Ocarina of Time out loud.
Yes.
That's not, you can get that anywhere online.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and when we say brief, like 2 paragraphs, probably.
Yeah. Paragraph or 2.
Yeah. As a guidance. Ultimately what that stops happening is what that keeps me from doing is editing it down, and I don't want to get rid of something that's important. I'd rather you decide that. So
yeah. Also, if you have anything to say about next month's games, which are Luigi's Mansion,
the original one for GameCube.
Yep. Even though I'm playing the remake on 3DS, but
yeah,
so same game. Not the we're not doing like Dark Tomorrow or whatever the third one's called.
Dark Moon. Yeah.
Dark Moon. Legend of Grimrock 2. Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time, or Wolfenstein: The New Colossus, which now that I'm looking at, other than Grimrock, all of those are kind of updates of old kind of properties or ideas, like a Mario game without Mario, update to Wolfenstein, update to Prince of Persia, kind of a weird little themelet.
Yeah.
Hit us up by the 15th of April.
Yes. The Ides.
Yes.
Yeah. Other things you can do, you can go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. That is how Nick got us to play and talk about Axiom Verge. That is the high price item. But at much lower prices, you get lots and lots of extra content. Whole new shows. You can get all of the premium episodes in their entirety for the $5 entry fee. Yeah.
Absolutely. And get the joy of supporting your boys and the whole network of cool, fun shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're hearing this, the last little bit of admin is come see us at the Midwest Gaming Classic, assuming it does not get canceled for virus reasons.
Yes.
First weekend in April.
Yes. That is going to be Saturday, April the 4th and 5th. We will be we'll be on the show floor. Do not be upset if we use hand sanitizer. After you stand near us. I'm not shaking hands is the thing. Yeah.
I saw a sign that was like, do thumbs up.
Yes.
And I think that's a great con rule in general.
Yeah.
Like just a thumbs up is awesome.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So yeah, no, please do not have your feelings hurt if we do not shake your hand or give you a hug. We're going to socially distance.
Or lick your shoes.
Yeah. Yeah. Or if you find an especially tasty doorknob and you say, hey, Cole, I really need you to come over here and see this. It's going to blow your mind.
Cool. I love Radio Free Midworld. Would you be willing to lick this doorknob? I brought it from home. Last year, it was pre-virus.
Yeah.
And I got like absolutely deathly fucking sick for like 5 days after Midwest Gaming Classic.
It really impacted the schedule.
Yeah, it was really no good. I had the next day I had to like kill time for 12 hours before getting on a plane.
Yeah.
And the plane was delayed and I thought I was just going to like, I was shaking, sweaty and ready to be sick on the plane. I was a real patient zero kind of situation.
Bad. Yeah.
So it was no good. So we're not going to touch you, but we will talk to you.
Yeah.
At Midwest Gaming Classic.
Yeah, we're going to be sitting in on a Retronauts panel. It'll be a good time. Additionally, something that we don't talk about an awful lot, but it is bumping. We have a YouTube channel, and there's a bunch of video content that goes out. I think like something every day now.
Yeah, I put out a video, at least I put out a video every day, at least for the foreseeable of a Let's Play I'm doing. I have plans for after that. I cannot predict when or why that sounds good to me versus when it didn't for like 4 years, but I'm enjoying it now.
It's fun. I'm happy you caught the bug. I like doing it.
Yeah. Fun stuff. So that's at youtube.com/Duckfeed.tv.
Yes.
I think that's about it.
Think so.
What should they watch out for until next time, Cole?
Watch out for too much words, which is ironic. Because of us.
I'm letting it sit because I don't want to contribute to the problem.
Oh yeah. Well, damn.